Welcome to another reaction stream. Thank you very much for tuning in. Very much appreciate heading into game week 14. We're going to be looking forward there and also looking at what's happened so far in game week 13. So thank you very much to everyone who is actually tuning in right now. Very much appreciate, obviously, kind of a bit of a weird time to actually stream, but then again, we have been doing that quite a lot recently. And yeah, that's what we are at the moment. And a decent day today on Saturday, 45 points and up to 74k from around 90k. And for some reason, some weird stuff is happening with my camera. Hopefully it's not too bad, but yeah, I'll try to fix it if it is continuing to be an issue. Thank you to everyone who is here. And I'll try to get through as many questions and comments as possible. And as you can see, everyone so far has actually hauled except for Rafinha, who blanked just now in Leeds' 0-0 draw against Brighton. But other than that, pretty happy with the day. And actually, it was today, very early on in the morning before the price rises, I made 2 free transfers. I got rid of Chilwell for Marcos Alonso and Phil Foden out for Jota. Now, Foden can still do very well, and I think he is a good option, but I just think that injury doubt just gave me an excuse to get Jota in early. And I will be talking about other transfer plans I have. And of course, I still have Townsend. Why do I still have Townsend in my team? I'll be talking about that very soon. And once again, very much appreciate everyone who's tuning in. And if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. We're going to try to get through as many questions and comments as always. So welcome, Van Mellen. How many points do you guys have? I got 44. That's not too bad, to be honest. That's a pretty good score, I think, especially, you know, if you have plenty of players left. Another one with 44, Gustav. Kyle, 53 for me, very good. Rafinha to Jota. Jota price rising tonight for sure. I mean, there is a quick turnaround, Sharia, up until, you know, game week 14. And on Tuesday, we've got another deadline. So I think it is probably worth it to do that sort of move. The only thing is that Rafinha could do pretty well over the next 2 fixtures. 47 points for me, very good, Jack. Same with everyone else, around 44, 53, 45, you know, very good scores. Welcome, Jammy Boy. How has Brighton not scored? Lamptey looks so good. Yeah, he got subbed off around the 75th minute mark, but in the first half, he created the most chances of any player. And of course, Lamptey is a quality player on his day, and it's just injuries that kind of ruin him. I got 43, yeah, a lot of 43s, 45s, 46. So that's Karaki, Joseph and Brian. 22 so far, still a long way to go, mate. And if you get Jota in, for example, next week, you're in a good position anyway. But I think if you can get around the 30 mark without Jota today, I think that's pretty decent, to be honest. 8 players left to go. That's good then. 8 players left, 22 points. I think you could get a pretty good score. Hey, Dylan, thoughts on Foden to Jota, says Colin. I think that is probably... I mean, even, you know, going into this week with the injury doubt, it was a good excuse to get rid of him, and you could still do the same thing. Thankfully, yeah, the kind of flashing has stopped. I don't know what happened there, that kind of weird colour. Hopefully it wasn't too distracting, but yeah, to answer your question, Colin, I still think it's a good move to make. With Foden, if he has this kind of persisting injury doubt, he could be managed more so than usual. And, you know, with so many games coming thick and fast, is Foden going to play the vast majority of games? Well, he will, but will he start all of them and play 60 plus minutes? Not too sure. Steve says 47 with a -4. That's a good score, mate. 33, I don't think that's too bad, mate, especially if, once again, you've got plenty of players tomorrow. Kobe says, all right, Dylan, 38 with 6 to go. I think that's a reasonable score, especially if you don't have Diego Jota today. Sold Foden to Jota, an instant payoff. Unpopular opinion, hopefully Foden blanks or doesn't play. Well, I'm kind of hoping secretly for the same thing, but I think Foden owners do deserve a bit of a luck because, you know, ever since I got him, just constant blanks, but I think he's been very unlucky not to have hauled at least once. Hey Dylan, good evening. Welcome, Aranya. Thank you for tuning in as always, mate. Very much appreciated. It's game week 13. Yes, it is, mate, but we're looking forward to game week 14 and also SEO stuff. And we're also reacting to game week 13, but the main thing is looking ahead to game week 14. 41, pretty decent. Jota. Yeah, Jota is... I mean, look, he is a very inconsistent player, and that's kind of ironic because the next comment is saying Dylan showing consistency. Thank you very much, Vivan. But yeah, Jota can be very explosive. It's just only 2 double-digit hauls this season, to be honest. Nice Rosero Central shirt you are wearing. Thank you very much, mate. Let's try to get through the other questions I've kind of left out, or not left out, that I haven't got to yet. Hi Dylan, welcome. Abdullah, thank you very much for tuning in. 42 of a -8. Yeah, that's why sometimes hits can pay off. But obviously I wouldn't want to get into this habit of constantly taking hits. 46 with 4 left to play. Vardy, Antonio, Tony and James. Yeah, that's pretty good once again, and you could easily get to the 60, 70 point mark, especially if Vardy finally hauls, and the rest could definitely do well. If I play the bench boost for next week, will it be active throughout? It will only be active for Game Week 14 and not for Game Week 13, which is just passed, or for Game Week 15. Each game week is separate. The only time, when a bench boost that counts for 2 games for a certain team, that is when that team has 2 games within a certain game week, and we'll be talking about double game weeks when they come, but at the moment it's just not a thing at the moment. 45 points. When Dylan tells you to bring in Jota, you listen. Thank you. No worries, mate, Mickey. And to be honest, it's just a suggestion, and a lot of people are doing the same thing. I'm not, kind of saying something groundbreaking. I just think with the Foden kind of injury doubt, it was a very good opportunity and excuse to make that switch. And I think Jota scoring 2 goals, whether or not you brought him in or not, it's kind of an element of luck, because how often does Jota get a double-digit haul? Not that often, but he always has these performances where you think he could get one. And to be honest, could have got a hat-trick today, but very happy with the 2 goals. To be honest, can't really ask for much more. 54 and 5 to play. Can't complain. Yeah, definitely not, Julio. That's a really good score. 32 with 6 left. Once again, that's a good score in my opinion. Same with 31 points from Messi Monkey. With Foden, Cancelo, James and Foster left, I've taken an L. Well, if Foden starts and does pretty decent, I think that's not too bad. And if you get 50 plus points for a kind of below par or average game week for you, I don't think it's the worst in the world. You've got to think positive. Of course, you also have to be realistic, but I don't really, I don't think it's a complete disaster. I've had worse. Hi Dylan, welcome Nabil. Should have gone for Jota at -8. Yeah, but it's kind of easy to say that in hindsight, isn't it? I still think that, you probably had a good reason not to take the extra hit, to be honest. I have 38 points with 6 players to play. Once again, I think that's pretty decent, Nabil. I think if you have plenty of players left, like 5 plus, I think you're in a good spot. Hey Dylan, says Emofon. Yeah, thank you very much. And also thank you, Noah, for pointing out why does Rafinha have a 1-pointer. Let's refresh the page. And there you go. He's got 3 points. He's got the clean sheet and the 60 plus minutes. So thank you very much for pointing that out. I didn't even realise that because I've been so focused on your comments. So very much appreciate it, Noah. Yeah, refresh your page. Rafinha scored 3 points, not 1. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I should have done that earlier. My bad. Nahian says, currently on 49. Unfortunately, forgot to put Livramento on the bench, so that was 0 points. But oh well. Yeah, that's why it's very important to kind of set your team up from as early as possible. So if I'm being completely honest with you, what I do is as soon as the deadline passes, or not as soon as it happens, but basically the next time I log on to FPL, I kind of sort my team out. It's kind of like a bus team ahead of the next game week, and it's all pretty much sorted. But I have 1 free transfer, of course. I am looking to use it. Of course, having 2 free transfers is very good. And by the way, I saw someone yesterday say, take a shot every time Dylan says, of course. So I'm going to try and bear that in mind. It's kind of a subconscious thing to do. I need to stop saying, of course, of course. FPL works in funny ways. I had such a weak bench that I was forced to go for Jota, transferring out Foden for a -4. I would probably start with Foden. Yeah, exactly, Aranya. That's a very good point. And that's why there's an element of luck to that kind of decision making. It was a good decision, but still a bit of luck. And the same goes in my situation because I did pretty much the same thing. When are people playing their chips? Later in the season? It depends. Obviously, we do have the second wildcard to come into play after Game Week 18, I believe. When it comes to the triple captaincy, whenever you have a player like Salah with a really good fixture or with a double game week, and the double game weeks and blank game weeks are going to be instrumental to most people's chip strategies. For example, with a free hit, you can use it during a blank game week to kind of navigate that and then kind of prepare and use your free transfers for the other game weeks and not kind of dead end your team for, let's say, blank game week 18, for example. And the same goes for the bench boost, for example. I think that's a very good time to use it is during a double game week because you can have theoretically 15 players. And to be honest, though, there have been very good examples of people using the bench boost in a single game week and they've done very well. And you can get 20 plus points easily, and I think that's already a good score from a bench boost, and maybe we focus too much on these kind of chips. Jota in for Saka, Sarr or Benrahma for next week? Well, Sarr is the injured one, but otherwise I would say Benrahma. I think from West Ham, Antonio, Bowen, Johnson, those sorts of players I'd be looking at instead of Benrahma. But yeah, I would say probably Sarr at the moment because he's injured, but then again Saka is an injury out as well. He could be out for Game Week 14. Hi there, got 45. It's green, all good, says Vegard. Yeah, once again, it's good scores all around. Jack as well, 47. Welcome, the Flying Dutchman. Have a good stream, Dylan. I'm with friends. I'll try to rewatch. I also have 45 points so far. Cancelo, James, Son, Tony, and Vardy still to play. That's a good score, mate. I think you could easily get 65 plus with all those players and the caliber of those players left. Good luck, mate, and obviousilly enjoy your night out. Best Chilwell replacement. For me, I've said this all along, and apologies, by the way, to anyone if I haven't responded to your comments yet. I'll try to get through them. But for me, if you don't have Trent, Cancelo or James, get them in. If you have enough money, of course, get them in to replace Chilwell. And then, if you already have them, I would start to look at Alonso, Rudiger, and if not, I would look at a Reguilon, a Lamptey, or one of those kind of budget options like Ben White. So that's kind of my thinking on it. But the main thing is getting James, Trent and Cancelo. I think they are the main defenders you want to target, to be honest. Wolves attackers blanked. Yeah, I'm surprised, to be honest. But then again, they have shown a bit of form recently. Even in Daniel Farke's last game, got a result against Brentford. And of course, they've transitioned that against Southampton. And now, once again, another decent result against a pretty informed Wolves side. Should I keep Son till Norwich? I think so, Vivan. If you have him, I wouldn't be selling him, to be honest. I feel like Trossard owners were unlucky, but I feel like Maupay owners get what they deserved. Yeah, at one point I saw something crazy, like Maupay was on for like -9 in terms of the bonus point system, which is crazy, to be honest. I mean, you have to have a pretty bad game to be in the minus points. But yeah, I think Trossard he always looks lively, and in the last few games he's been kind of the main spark for Brighton. But yeah, I think with Trossard, expect inconsistency. I mean, to be honest, the same goes for anyone around that price. But yeah, Trossard owners were slightly unlucky. 51 with 4 to play. That's good, Lan. 33 with 6 players left. Not the best. It's not the best, but it's not the worst, Aiden. You can still get 50 plus easily. 33 with a -8. Is that bad? I don't think it's necessarily... Okay, it's not awful. I don't think it's great. But if you have certain players left tomorrow, like a Son, Cancelo, etc., I think you're in a good position. 27 points with 4 played. So... Sarr got me altogether 10 points, my goalie. Well, that's a big kind of swing there. And Sarr was the best performing goalkeeper so far. And 4 left to play. 4 played. So you've got 7 left. I think that's not too bad. 34 with only 4 left. Says Mohammed, well, we've got a quick turnaround. That's the good thing about it. And you can still aim for 50 plus points and then push on and try to address your team heading into Game Week 14. 50 -4, so 46 for me. Small green arrow so far. Yep, and that's another example of a hit, actually being worth it, to be fair. 48 points though with 9 players. Yeah, so I'm guessing, 2 more players left. You can get 55 points maybe, and you can move on afterwards. It's not too bad. 34 points with 6 left. Yeah, a lot of good scores overall. I got 48 without Jota. I had Van Dijk. Wow, fair play. I would have probably gotten rid of Van Dijk, maybe not necessarily ahead of this week, but if I didn't have a Trent, a James or Cancelo, I would have used that money from Van Dijk to go to one of them. And voice crack already, Jesus. Really wanted Jota in this game week, but with Chilwell injured, didn't want a -8 for him. Just unlucky. Exactly, I agree. And I almost didn't do it, and I had 2 free transfers. And I think if I had have used maybe one of my free transfers heading into game week 12 or 13, then yeah, I wouldn't have been in a position to use 2 free transfers and being able to profit from Jota. Should I take a hit to bring in Jota, or should I hold Kobe? It depends who you bring out. But I think long term, Jota will pay off the hit, because with the African Cup of Nations as well, he should be relatively nailed for a long time. Lamptey is so explosive. If only Brighton had good finishers, Lamptey would have got a few assists. Says Brian, yeah, that's a good point, but that's also something else you need to take into account. The fact that Brighton don't have a clinical finisher, that also, you have to factor that into your decision making, whether you bring in Lamptey. But of course, with Lamptey, set your kind of expectations quite realistic. He is a cheap option, and he's a very good one at that on his day. And he can get those assists, potentially some clean sheets. And another thing to talk about Brighton, they haven't won in 9 games. And I think their overall home record under Potter, I just heard, was like 6 wins in 30 games. So Brighton are a very inconsistent team, of course. They kind of deserve more sometimes, especially last season. But yeah, you have to take that into account as well. Foden to outscore Jota tomorrow? I don't think so, Ali, but you could be right, to be fair. And even though he's facing West Ham, Foden is a quality option. Buy an Arsenal or Palace defender? I think Arsenal will keep more clean sheets than Palace, and once again, Palace being undone by set pieces. They now have conceded 10 goals from set pieces, which is absolutely ridiculous. So Patrick Vieira has to, do something about that. But I think Arsenal will keep more clean sheets. So, kind of excluding whether you have Ramsdale or Gaeta or whatever, I would say go for an Arsenal defender, and I'd probably go for Ben White or someone cheap. 31 points with Cancelo, James, Reguilon, Son, Mbeumo, Kane and Antonio left to play. That's plenty of players, so I wouldn't worry too much, Ali. Vardy, Mbeumo to Wilson, Saint-Maximin, Jota for a -4. Look, I know Wilson's facing Norwich, but taking a hit for one of Wilson or Saint-Maximin, I'm not too sure, because it's very short term. The fixtures turn very soon. Newcastle bottom of the league. They looked very poor against Arsenal today. And also Wilson still 1 yellow card away from suspension. So if you take a -4 for him, and let's say even if he scores against Norwich but then gets a yellow card, it's not really worth it in my opinion. But Of course, I do agree with the Jota move. I think that could be very good. And, which other strikers would you look for? Maybe Benteke. I still think he's a good option. And also King in 2 game weeks' time to kind of fund that Jota move. Kind of annoying for me because Jota was top of my watch list, but I didn't want to take another hit, says Coop Dog. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I can see what you mean there. Yeah, I mean, Jota has been on my radar for quite a while, same with Gallagher, but sometimes you're just not able to, make that transfer that you want. So I can share your frustration to a degree. Why did Lamptey get 6 points against Villa? Says Sam. Well, because I'm just saying, I'm not trying to ridicule you. He did play against Leeds, and it was a 0-0. So yeah, if you're talking about Lamptey doesn't play for Crystal Palace. Son to Jota and to Cancelo for -4. Already have Kane. Yeah, I think that looks good. Obviously, once again, Nicola, in terms of Son, I'm a bit apprehensive about getting rid of him, ahead of some really good fixtures. But then again, I think Jota could actually match him and possibly even outscore him over the next month or so. 26 points here, disappointed. Says Shivan, don't be, mate, because you've got, in just a few days, you're going to have a turnaround and an opportunity to, make things good again, to be honest. So I wouldn't be too disheartened. Whenever I have like a bad game week, obviously sometimes I still have to do these streams and stuff, but I try to see now I see the funny side, as Joker says. I'm a Man United fan. If they play well tomorrow, do I need to buy any one free transfer 0.6 million in the bank? Not necessarily, Eddie, but you want to maybe start preparing or having ways to get United players in ahead of game week 16, but you don't have to be in a rush. No player is essential, in my opinion, or absolutely essential. But of course, right now, Salah never blanks really, so you'd want to have him rather than not. And of course, the free fullbacks that I keep talking about, but in terms of Man United, I don't think you need to be in a rush to get them in. The same goes for Spurs assets, and that's why I might not even go for them in the end. Got 33 points so far. Is it good? And there will be more tomorrow. Yeah, Manish, if you've got 4, 5 plus players left, I think you're in a decent position. And even if you don't, I still think you can do well overall. Of course, you're always going to have a bad game week, so just kind of take it on the chin. But yeah, I don't think it's too bad. The only week, Williams Halls, he's my third bench player. Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? I'd still get rid of him, to be honest. And yeah, Norwich, I talked about them recently, didn't I? I said, avoid Norwich assets. They never keep a clean sheet. And I said they might keep one soon, but to be honest, I'd still get rid. And didn't expect them to get that, right now, to be honest. But yeah. Turkish says, hi Dylan, great stream. Do you think I should sell Mane right now? Or should I keep him? I think he's played very well in the last few games. He even played well in this game and, sometimes got the pass before the assist. But I would rather have Jota, and I've said this all along. It doesn't mean I'm completely justified now because Jota scored 2 goals and Mane blanked. I still think Mane can, match him or even outscore him. But we also have to think about budget, and I think I would rather have Jota. Great stream, Dylan. Got Jota and Bernardo, as you advised. To clarify, yesterday I said you look like the kid from the film Christmas Story. Google him. Thanks, mate. Yeah, I will. Thank you, Ed Mers. Definitely, that's something I should do. Maybe even now in the stream. You've got 44 points, not 45. Well, according to livefpl.net, I do have 45. So when the bonus points come in, I will get an extra point. That's why. Thoughts on 5 at the back with Cancelo, James, Trent, Alonso and Walker. Yeah, I think it's not bad. It's not a bad decision, but if I'm being honest, I would rather have the structure of 4 kind of expensive defenders and then 1 kind of bench fodder like Lamptey or Livramento. Lamptey was good today, yeah. He was very good, mate. Very good, to be honest. Have 2 free transfers, might do Foden to Jota and keep Semedo and Jimenez for Burnley. Yeah, I would keep those players for Burnley, but then after that, definitely look to sell the Wolves assets. And yeah, I would do that, Colin. I'd probably do Foden to Jota, even though Foden is still a good option. Thank you for this. Would you go Foden to Jota tonight? 35 points with Vardy, Cancelo, James, Alonso and Foden. Okay. Yeah, I think you've got plenty of players who can do very well and you can get 55 plus points even. Obviously, I can't give you an exact figure there. I think, yeah, obviously we've got a quick turnaround. That kind of helps you there. But if possible, I would wait until tomorrow. I think Jota just went up in price 2 days ago. So if anything, I think he'll go up in price tomorrow night. So not tonight, but tomorrow night. So you can afford to watch all of the rest of the game, see if you get any more injuries, and then make that switch. But of course, I could be wrong. Jota could go up in price tonight because everyone is now talking about Jota. But if possible, maybe just hold off for an extra day. It could really be helpful. Aston Villa players look at, yeah, under Steven Gerrard, definitely. And I was asked yesterday in terms of, which manager have you been most impressed by? Although, of course, they've only had really 1 game. And I did mention Steven Gerrard, but it's just very early to say. Even now, it's just 2 games. But I think Watkins and Ings, when those fixtures turn, especially Watkins, I think he could be very good. Target, I highlighted him yesterday and he actually scored. Obviously, that's not going to happen every day. And of course, Matty Cash is another one that I like. Probably Martinez, I wouldn't go for him. I think he's too expensive. I don't think Villa will keep as many clean sheets like they did last season. So Target or Cash as your kind of mid-price defender. And also, Watkins, I'd say up front. And maybe one of their midfielders at some point like Bailey. Would you get Ben White or Lamptey? Good question. I would probably get Lamptey and have Ramsdale in goal. So kind of cover both teams that way. Hospa. Tomiyasu an option? He is, but obviously he did get a really good assist, and Martinelli, what a finish that was. But I would rather have Ben White in general. He's not probably going to get as many attacking returns, but he's going to get more bonus points over the season. At least that's what we've seen so far. He is a good option though, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Go for Jota now and save price rise, or wait till deadline. I would wait at least until tomorrow. So after all the games are done tomorrow, then make the transfer. I think that's probably the best course of action. And if you have enough squad depth, you can afford to maybe make an early transfer. But whenever we have like Champions League or something, which is going to be not this week but the week after, that's when I would try to wait until the deadline. Hey mate, should I do Jimenez and Manquillo to Alonso and King? I probably would wait one more week with the Jimenez transfer and then make that Jimenez to King switch, because also look at King's fixtures. He has really poor games, but of course it is to facilitate that Manquillo to Alonso move. You might have 2 free transfers now, but I honestly would say try to wait with King because I think Jimenez could do well against Burnley. Hold Vardy long term? Potentially, but I would mainly say around Game Week 17 you can get rid of, even now heading into this week, especially if you have a pretty good team overall and you just want to do Vardy to Kane, for example. Should I keep Hwang for Game Week 14 against Burnley? I probably would, and then sell him, to be honest, Lee. That's what I'd say. Let's see. Chua and Son for Alonso and Jota for a -4. Yeah, this is the thing though, getting rid of Son for a -4, I can see why you're doing it, and Chilwell to Alonso is good. I would just do Chilwell to Alonso if you can. I think you can afford that, Mohamed, so I would just do that and not do Son to Jota yet. Say Maximan or Benteke? I probably would say Benteke. I think Newcastle just have 2 good fixtures and they're really poor at the moment. I'd rather have Benteke long term. Salah, Jota, Gallagher, Bowen, Brownhill, my midfield from Game Week 16. Is Foden essential? Not essential, I think. But I think he could be a very good option. City have some great fixtures coming up. I would have loved to have kept him, but I don't think he's essential. Duffy bench, Livermento 0-pointer. Foden better start or I'm screwed. Yeah, with Duffy, I've been talking about it for weeks and it's finally come true in terms of, I don't see him, being nailed in that side. And we saw like a hint of that. I don't know when exactly. I can't remember exactly, but 5 or 6 game weeks ago maybe, when he lost his spot, when, other players came back like Veltman and Lamptey, etc. And yeah, Duffy's just not nailed in that side, so I'm not too surprised, and that's why it's important to have a good bench. Livermento is still a good budget option, but I would recommend doing Duffy to Lamptey perhaps in your situation, Aban. Would you consider bringing Lukaku sometime soon if he is back from injury and starting? I mentioned this in my preview 2 days ago now, losing track of the days. But I think Lukaku could actually be a very serious option. Just bear in mind with Chelsea's fixtures, they're not entirely great, and I think Lukaku will actually start, hitting some form over the Christmas period when he starts, and it could be tomorrow or it could be in Game Week 14, but I probably would just hold for now and not get him in right now, but I would consider it, yeah. 47 points with 5 to play. Getting Jota in last night paid off big time. Yeah, and that's a good score and decent position to be in. Why Alonso this week? To be honest, because I want to remain going big at the back. And I could have afforded to actually maybe not done that, to be honest, and maybe done Townsend to Gallagher or something else. But to be honest, I'm pretty happy with getting Alonso in right now, and he will probably go up in price very soon. He's now no longer price locked like he was before. But I think, Man United might score, to be honest, but look at my bench and I'm not really too confident with them. Maybe Townsend could have done well this week. But I'm in a good position, I think, heading into Game Week 14, which I'm going to be showing you very soon, where both of them are facing Watford, and that's a pretty good fixture, to be honest. For the Chelsea defenders. What do you think about Pukki? Had a big chance today, didn't take it, but I think he's a decent option around the budget strikers, but I'd still rather go for Benteke or King, to be honest. What shirt are you wearing? So it's a Rosario Central shirt. There you go. Rosario Central is Argentinian team, and obviously you probably wouldn't know it, but Angel Di Maria is a supporter. He came from there himself. It's one of the biggest clubs in Argentina, but biggest in Rosario, at least. Definitely, no doubt about it. Sao Antonio, best Antonio replacement. Says Anthony. You can potentially hold him, but to be honest, Antonio keeps on blanking. I wouldn't be surprised if yet another blank against City. But at the same time, he has the quality to score against anyone. In terms of selling him for others, I'd say Benteke once again, or King in 3 game weeks time. But by that point, Antonio has some good fixtures coming up, so that would probably be a bit awkward. So in terms of selling now, it'll have to be Benteke, because Wilson and Saint-Maximin, just 2 good fixtures, and also Wilson is 1 yellow card away from suspension. Armstrong has poor fixtures, and he was a sell. I talked about this in my Game Week 13 preview or transfer tips video. I said he's a sell. And then you look at the other kind of options. Jimenez is good for 1 more week, Hwang as well, but after that you probably wouldn't want Wolves assets up front. They can still do well, but I probably wouldn't go there. Why do you play Antonio ahead of Townsend? I did think about it, Vincent, but to be honest, I think Antonio can do well against City. He scored against them in both fixtures last season. And Townsend, I could maybe regret that, to be fair, but you know what? He's going to be sold anyway. 51 points with Tony, Kane, Cancelo, Rudiger left. Alonso, also, will Alonso rise tonight? I'm not sure about tonight, Noah, but I think by the Game Week 14 deadline, he definitely will rise. I'd be very shocked if he isn't. But I'd say today or tomorrow, I think he will go up. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not an expert in terms of price rises. 26 with 7 to play. 7 to play is a good position to be in, mate, so don't worry about it too much. Kunal says 37 with Son, Kane, Cancelo, James, Alonso, Tony to go. That's decent, mate. That's well decent. Use my free transfer for Game Week 14 for Jota and Bernardo Silva in place of Son and Brownhill. Fair enough. Once again with Son, I think he could do very well over the next 3, but I can see why he did that. I'm going to be 34k overall with 55 points after bonus are added. Very good, Jack, and that's a nice little price rise. I keep talking about price rises. Nice little rank rise, so well done, mate. Can only get Jota if I move early. Would you do it? It depends who you get rid of, Ryan, but I'd probably say yes. But let me know who you're getting rid of, because that also would play a part. If it's Son out for Jota, which I'm guessing it's not, but yeah, I probably wouldn't in that case. Do you think Saka or Rafinha to Jota? I'd still sell Saka. But the thing with Saka, I said I wouldn't sell him ahead of Newcastle, but I would sell him, in the weeks to come. And he is an injury doubt. He's facing Man United. He got an assist a few years ago under Emery, but at Old Trafford. But I would sell him. 39 points with Foster, Cancelo, Alonso, and Mbumo, Foden, and Tony to play. Is it good? Yeah, I think that's good, to be honest. You've got plenty of players left. I'm not confident with Foster, but the rest look pretty decent. Obviously, let's see if Foden plays. Time top off Livramento for players like Lamptey around the same price. I'd say, you know what? Yes, it could be the time, but in my case at least, I'm just talking for myself. I probably will look to address other fires. So Townsend has been a weakness in my team for a long time, looking to sell him. Rafinha in a few game weeks time could be sold, and then also focusing on my attack. That's very important. Obviously, good thing that Douglas Luiz's red card got rescinded. Otherwise, he would also be someone else. I need as much squad depth as possible heading into this Christmas period, but you make a very good point. I think Lamptey is probably a better option than Livramento at the moment, of course. Son to Jota, I wouldn't do that, Jack. No. Any questions about Son to Jota? Honestly, I wouldn't do it. It's very obviously we can all react and be, do this kind of knee-jerk move. I think Jota is probably, going to be a better option over the next month or so, but don't sell Son. I think ahead of the next 2 or 3 fixtures. I don't think it makes sense. Would you take out Rafinha and Antonio in order to bring in Jota and Wilson? I like Jota, but I just don't like getting rid of or getting in Wilson. So I'd say no, Kobe. To be honest. I think Wilson's boat has kind of sailed. I still think he can do very well against Norwich, but I probably would be a bit hesitant about that. I'm struggling to find where to put my budget into. Son and Kane don't appeal to me. I think at the back, honestly. I think going big at the back, Trent, James and Cancelo, at least have those 3, and then you can have Lamptey and Livramento or whatever on your bench, maybe Johnson, White, etc. A cheap goalkeeper like Ramsdale, and then I try to maybe invest quite a bit in your midfield as well. So having a Jota, Salah, maybe Bernardo Silva, and then a Gallagher or someone like that. So I think defence and midfield is very important. And in the weeks to come, I think attackers will start to be appealing again. But I wouldn't be... I'd say keep Son and Kane for now, but in the coming few weeks, you can start getting rid of them potentially. I have 70 with Man U and Chelsea and Man City. Wow, that's pretty impressive. 70 with players from those 3 teams left. That's very good, Celtic. Duffy for Livramento. I wouldn't get Livramento in right now. I would get Lamptey instead. Sion. I probably just butchered that, didn't I? 51 points so far, crept into the top 100k, which I'm very happy with. Yep, I'd be happy with that too. 51 points is a very good score, I think, this week. And if you have players left, then that's good. Why won't Jota rise today? I mean, it's not that I don't think he can't rise today. I just think that because he only rose in price 2 days ago, there's a possibility that it will happen tomorrow instead. But there is so much clamour surrounding him, and a lot of people have kind of regretted not going for him ahead of Game Week 13. So it is possible that he will go up today. So just bear that in mind. You watch any other sport? UFC, F1, boxing, golf, anything? Yeah, I watch F1. I used to be absolute diehard. Then I kind of stopped watching it for several years. I got tired of, the same old drivers dominating, especially since 2014. It's been very boring in my opinion. But this year, I think Verstappen has made it a very interesting title fight. And I watch tennis when Federer plays mainly. But yeah, other than that, yeah, in terms of boxing, from time to time, not really. Same with UFC, but not a big fan of them. Or at least I haven't watched it enough to really, become attached. Saka to Fornals for a differential. Thanks for all the videos you do. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for your kind words. And I would still rather go for Bowen, but Fornals is also a good option. And sometimes, when Benrahma, Antonio, and even Bowen blank, Fornals is the one getting the points. So that's not a bad option, but I probably would prefer Bowen. Thank you very much once again. I bench Cody for Mount. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Maybe Norwich were a bit unlucky not to score, to be fair, but yeah, Mount is someone to get rid of, in my opinion. Is someone seriously asking if 53 is a W or L? Yeah, I think this week it is a W, to be honest. Anime says, or Amin says, Dylan Rudiger to Alonso. Yeah, I mean, if you have a spare transfer, I think it's worth it, but Rudiger is a good option, mate. I think he's still a good option. But I think Alonso is probably worth it for that extra attacking threat. I'm stuck with Jesus and Iheanacho. What should I do? I'd definitely sell Iheanacho. I know he's got some quite easy fixtures from now on, but I'd sell him, mate. I'd honestly sell him. And with Jesus, you can maybe keep him for now, but he's another one I'd sell. In terms of other strikers to go for, maybe upgrade Jesus to a Vardy or a Kane, or Ronaldo potentially, and also Lukaku when he's fit. And obviously he's fit now, but when he's back into the starting 11 and all that. As for Iheanacho, there's quite a few strikers you can go to. Mikel Antonio around Game Week 16 or 18. There's also Ivan Toney. I'd say Benteke and King in 3 game weeks time. Last minute transfer from Foden to Jota. Yeah, a lot of people kind of did that, to be honest. So yeah, that's fair play. That's a very good move and a bit lucky, obviously. And I'm saying that as someone who did it, but got to enjoy it when it happens. 45 with Tony, Vardy, and Mbeumo, Cancelo, Rudiger, and James left. Yeah, that's a very good score, mate, Josh. Enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday and the weekend. And then on Tuesday, we're back at it again. Jesus, it's relentless. 54 points with 4 to play. Rudiger, Cancelo, Son, and Tony. That's a good score. I think you could easily get 70 plus, mate. Hi, Dylan. Tony to Benteke. Yeah, I think that's on the cards. Let's see how Tony does tomorrow. But yeah, I think Benteke could be a very good option over the Christmas period. Rudiger and Rafinha to Jota and Cancelo. Yeah, I would do that, Spencer. I'd do that. I like Rudiger and Rafinha, but I would do that. Welcome, Chelsea Blues. Lamp the 8-pointer. Can't complain. Yeah, I wouldn't complain either. What's your squad value? It was, let me double check this for you. It was like 103.5 before, I think. No, 102.6, and I've got 1.4 million in the bank now. So overall, it's 104 million, according to the website. If you go to the FPL app, it will kind of give you a different number there. Because I think that's just based on overall value. So I think my selling value is 104 million, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, 104 million. Is Rudiger to Alonso worth it or just save the transfer? I think it is possibly worth it, especially against Watford. But you could also just save the transfer and have 2 frees heading into Game Week 15. Mbeumo to Jota or Foden to Jota? I would rather get rid of Mbeumo, so I'd do Mbeumo to Jota and keep Foden. I think that could be a very nice differential, having Foden and Jota. Jack says, hey, would you be more focused on getting Kane for Vardy, Mbeumo, Smith Rowe to Gallagher, or Livramento to Alonso with money in the bank? Good questions. I think either Livramento to Alonso or Mbeumo to Gallagher. So one of those for sure. And depending on your kind of the makeup of your squad, if you don't have a Trent or even just a Chelsea defender, let's say, I would go for Livramento to Alonso for sure. But yeah, definitely one of those two. I'd keep Smith Rowe and Vardy. Diaz and Rafinha out for Alonso and Jota for a hit. I'd probably say yes, Aristak. I think long term it will pay off. Jota and Johnson from Mbeumo and Chilwell for a hit. Ooh, yeah, I'd do that definitely. Game World, yeah, I would do that. I don't get the Alonso hype. Aspie will start this game week. Next game week, maybe yes. Aspie will start big games. Alonso small teams. I'm not that sure about that, Sam. Obviously, I can see what you mean, and I talked about the counter arguments against Alonso. I don't necessarily agree though, because at the beginning it was Alonso being nailed at that left wing back spot. Aspi will get some game time, but it could be as a centre back or as a right wing back, which is where he tends to play. But I think Alonso should play the majority of games. Let's wait and see though. Another 47 with Son, James, Cancelo, Chalobah, Tony to play. That's good. Let's see if Chalobah starts, but to be honest, that's a good team. Rudiger and Rafinha to Jota and Cancelo for a hit. I said this before, Spencer. I would do it, yeah. I have Jimenez and Hwang with Antonio. Should I sell or keep? I'd sell Hwang for sure after the Burnley game, and Jimenez is another one you could look to sell around game week 14, 15. Livramento or Lamptey until New Year? It definitely has to be Lamptey at the moment, but I think Livramento can still do well, but of course he's not as appealing as he was before. Thank you very much for the super chat, James Jackson. Much appreciated. You didn't have to, but thank you very much. Same with everyone else who's been sending super chats and become members over the last day, and also just everyone else who has become a member. Let's see. How long to keep in Boomer? I'd probably sell him now, Eddie Cassie. I'd look to sell him now. And if you don't have a Gallagher, for example, I think it's a very easy switch. I hope my captain James tomorrow pays off. Yeah, I'm actually, let me show you my Game Week 14 team. I am heavily considering captaining Reece James against Watford. I think against United he could do well. Let's see how he does. That should be a very interesting game. And yeah, I think against Watford, James could be a very interesting option. What I would be a bit concerned about is that Watford have improved recently, especially offensively, but it is Chelsea we're talking about, isn't it? But yeah, I think it's between Salah, James, even Alonso for the captaincy, and maybe even Jamie Vardy. And Southampton have looked a bit shaky in recent weeks, but yeah, I think it'll be between Salah and James. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, I think James' captaincy could be very good tomorrow, despite the fact, of course, that he is facing United. When should we use triple captain? Once again, I think when Salah, for example, has Norwich at home or a fixture very good, like he's facing a team that has poor underlying stats in recent weeks or something like that, or when he has a double game week. So that's why when I would use the triple captain. Is Rudiger to Alonso a good move or a waste? I think it's a good move, but it's also not a bad thing to keep Rudiger, to be honest. Jota's rising almost 15% per hour. Yeah, definitely, Frederick. Yeah, then he must be rising tonight. So if you are going to be priced out of a move to Jota, then maybe consider making the transfer today. What are your future transfer plans? I think the next thing I'm looking to do is address my weakness. And if I look at my team here, it's Townsend. Poor fixtures. Everton are looking poor. And even if Townsend starts to maybe get some hauls, Richarlison will be back again. He'll be on penalties. And you know what? I'm just kind of run out of patience with him. So I think Townsend to Gallagher makes sense. And then after that, I can start looking at other moves like Rafinha to Bernardo Silva perhaps. And also, I like my defence to be honest, but maybe Lamptey in for Livramento. If not another budget defender who pops up like Ben Johnson. And maybe in the attack, that's when I start, changing things about. But I think around Game Week 16 onwards is when I start focusing on Man United. And maybe then, Spurs assets. But of course, maybe I'll be a bit too late to the Spurs party by, getting a Kane or Son in, right now. Or around Game Week 16, should I say. Thank you very much for the super chat to James Jackson. Keep up the hard work. Thank you very much, mate. You didn't have to. You sent one in earlier as well. Obviously, much appreciated, and you're a legend, mate. Thank you very much. It's good to see you here, and hope to see you in future streams as well. But thank you very much, mate. Obviously, very flattered. I took a hit this week to get Alonso and Reguilon. Should I take a hit next game week to get Cancelo and Jota? To be honest, mate, it depends who you're getting rid of, but yeah, I think I would do it. Yeah, I think it's worth it, Khalid. Guys, only 70 likes and 264 people watching the live. I actually haven't even seen there's nearly 300 people watching. So obviously, thank you everyone for watching. If you haven't already, smash the like button as he says and subscribe if you're new. It really helps out the channel. Obviously, thank you very much to everyone who's already subscribed. Big shout out to all of you. You can also join the Discord server, and the link is in the description below. And on the left hand side of your screen, you can see the league code 886RGT. If you haven't joined already, be sure to join. And there's also a link in the description below. So thank you very much for the shout out. Amin, very much appreciated. Jimenez replacement, I'd keep Jimenez for one more week, and then I'd look to maybe either downgrade to a Benteke or someone else, maybe Joshua King in 2 or 3 game weeks time. And then if not, you can start looking at upgrading. So when Bamford comes back, he could be someone you can think about. And also Calvert-Lewin and, of course, Antonio around game week 16 or 18. But otherwise, we're mainly looking at upgrading to one of the premium strikers, but they haven't really shown too much at the moment. Duffy to Reguilon or Mbuma to Gallagher. That's a tough one, but I probably would say Duffy to Reguilon because he is just pretty much lost it. He's lost his place. What about Broca, 5 million? Yeah, I mean, he's also a good option, especially when he starts, nailing down that spot and has a consistent run of starts. But I'd probably wait and see. Obviously, earlier in the season, he looked very good, very promising. Then he got that injury after scoring in back-to-back games. Let's wait and see, though. But I think he could be a good option. Hi, Dylan. Got for 27 with James. Yeah, Eddie, I talked about your team earlier, and I think that's not too bad, to be honest. You could get 50-plus points and then move on and try to address things heading into Game Week 14. Do we get Lamptey now for Livramento? I think if you have a spare transfer, Caroline, I would do it, yeah. I'm looking to do that as well. But as I talked about before, I think Townsend to Gallagher, then of course Livramento to Lamptey, and of course other moves could involve Rafinha in 2 or 3 game weeks time to Bernardo Silva potentially. That's kind of the things I'm looking at first, but definitely I think it's worth it. Yeah, once again, do we have 2 game weeks next week? No. Well, what I mean by that is, yeah, we got a game week in Tuesday, so that's going to be game week 14, but it's not a double game week, so it's very important to distinguish that. And if you go on the FPL website, it shows you the fixtures and how they're kind of sorted out in terms of when they're kind of sorted for game week 13, 14, etc. But there's no double game weeks at the moment, and when there is, I will let you guys know in the videos and streams. What is your plan for Rafinha game week 16? I think a move to Bernardo Silva, and if I have enough money, maybe back to Phil Foden. I know it seems a bit of a kind of, cycle or a circle that, I shouldn't be doing that, but I would like a City midfielder potentially. If not, maybe go to a cheaper midfielder like Cornet or Jarrod Bowen around game week 16 or 18. So I think it will be Bernardo Silva or Bowen. I think they're the most likely midfielders to replace Rafinha. He's still a good option though, even with those tough fixtures, but I think there's too many difficult fixtures there and his ceiling will be quite low. Wilson's still a good shout. I still think he's a decent shout, but I just think with 1 yellow card away from suspension and only 2 games left that are, pretty good on the FDR, I probably wouldn't go there now. Gallagher looks so much worse when Milivojevic is in than before. Yeah, and today after Eze entered, he went further behind. Yeah, and I talked about this, when the news came out of MacArthur being injured and Milivojevic coming back into the side as a result, and also Eze, now being back into the mix. It's not good news for Gallagher. I still think it's a very good asset, but nowhere near as good as he was before, so I agree with you. Have Townsend as well, probably moving him to Bernardo. Yeah, I don't have enough money to do that, unfortunately, but definitely, I think that's a good move. Rafinha out for Bernardo for me after next week. Yeah, I'm looking to do something similar potentially. That's a good point. Just got Lamptey in. Yeah, I mean, he looked very good today. Yeah, I think he's a good option. Obviously, hopefully he stays injury-free. Rafinha undroppable for me. Fair enough, yeah. I mean, the only reason why I'm actually considering getting rid of him is just look at these fixtures. They're absolutely awful. From game week 16, I mean, at least for a 4-game week period, Chelsea and City away back-to-back. Then Arsenal at home, not too bad, I guess. And Liverpool away. I mean, those fixtures are poor. And then there's not too many good fixtures up until, let's say, game week 29. It's a long time, mate. But obviously, I can see why you're doing it. He can do well against these teams. But Chelsea and Man City is a big kind of red flag for me. And if it wasn't for that, maybe I would consider keeping him. And maybe I will keep him, but I probably will be selling, to be honest. Captain Trent against Everton. I mean, it's not a bad option. And Trent has been outscoring Salah recently, but I probably would rather captain Salah. I think Everton are better offensively than they are defensively. So I think Everton are more likely to score and they could still be battered, rather than, Liverpool keeping the clean sheet. But with Trent, he can get those attacking returns as well. I'm captaining Trent across December. Fair enough. I mean, he's just doing so well at the moment, so I can see why you're doing that. I think James will get rested against Watford. Yeah, fair enough. He played last weekend, then Champions League, and will play tomorrow. I don't think he'll play Wednesday. I wouldn't captain him. Fair enough. That's a good spot or a good observation. But he could potentially be rotated in the Champions League. It could be Azpilicueta playing there because they've already qualified Chelsea and they should be able to beat, I think, they're facing Zenit now. Without James, they can afford to kind of drop him there and he plays against Watford. And Chelsea can't afford to drop any points in the Premier League title race because City and Liverpool are so consistent. But you make a good point. It is a possibility. How do you do multiple streams for UCL and FPL? I'm already stressed with just FPL. Yeah, I mean, it's hectic now in December because, we've now got another stream potentially on Tuesday and then, there could be a reaction stream on the Wednesday or Thursday. So it's going to be crazy. Then, of course, the UCL Fantasy comes back in match day 6. So not this week, but the week after. It's going to be crazy, to be honest. But we do have a big break for UCL Fantasy up until February after match day 6. So, yeah, I think, it was doable. We'll put it that way. Should I use my wildcard in Game Week 16 or wait till Game Week 19? Just to make it clear, so if you don't use your wildcard by Game Week 19, your first wildcard will be dissolved. So you will then be using your second wildcard in Game Week 19, and then you have no wildcard for the rest of the season. So honestly, mate, I'd use it in Game Week 16. Is James worth the extra 0.5? If he isn't, I could go Alonso to Semedo. I think he's worth the extra 0.5, Colin. I think he is. I have 21 points with James, Cancelo, Reguilon, Son, Ronaldo, Kane, Captain, Alonso, Fort. So you've got a lot of players left, so I wouldn't stress about it yet. I think you could easily get 50 plus points. So obviously it's kind of early in the week, and you could say, well, why are you doing a reaction stream? Well, why not? But I think don't worry about it too much. You've got some good players there, and you can easily get a pretty decent score and pretty much double what you have right now. Is getting Lukaku in at Game Week 15 a good idea? I think so. He should have started one game by then, Aiden, and I think that's where he can start kicking on. But once again, Chelsea have pretty mixed fixtures, so it's not, nothing groundbreaking. Rafinha to Gallagher, Smith Rowe, then Duffy to Alonso for a -4, 30k overall. Very nice overall, mate. The thing is with Rafinha to Gallagher, I probably would rather have Rafinha over the next 2 game weeks. But yeah, Smith Rowe, yeah, then Duffy to Alonso. Yeah, you have to do that though, don't you, to afford the Duffy to Alonso move. I probably wouldn't do it though, because getting rid of Rafinha, I probably wouldn't do that over the next 2. Got Arnold, Cancelo, Reguilon, and transfer Chilwell to James or Alonso. James, once again, Rashid, in my opinion. Alonso's a very good option, but I think James is just a level above. 50 points with 6 players to go. That is exceptional, Melvin. I think that's a very good score. I want Lamptey, but short of 0.1 million. You could still find a way, but of course it's very frustrating. It's very typical of FPL to kind of be just 0.1 million off of getting someone. It's very frustrating. Foden out, Jota in. This way I can afford Cancelo, DS out if Jota increases in price. Yeah, Khalid, I mentioned this earlier. You mentioned your transfer plans. I'd definitely go for it, mate, even for a hit. What was your prediction for Spurs versus Burnley game? Hopefully I can get the magic of, the last stream, if you remember, the last reaction stream where I guessed the results right for both Sunday games, but it's very difficult to do. So Spurs versus Burnley. I think last year, was it 1-0 or 2-0? It's a tough one to call because Burnley have actually been. It's a very difficult. It's a very different Burnley nowadays. Normally they're very defensively resolute and they play in such a low block, and offensively they don't really cause you too many problems other than set pieces and aerial duels. But right now they've got so many different avenues, of scoring goals. I think Ashley Barnes is a doubt, so that makes Cornet nailed. I think Cornet could cause Spurs all sorts of problems. Same with Chris Wood. It's a tough one. It's really tough. I probably would say I still think Spurs will win. Wouldn't be surprised if Burnley somehow get a result, but I'd stick with a Spurs win, and I would say I'll probably run out of luck, haven't I? But I would say 2-1. Normally I'd say maybe 1-0 Spurs or 2-0 Spurs, but I think Burnley could nick a goal here, and Spurs aren't really the greatest defensively. But yeah, I think Son or Kane, maybe even both, will produce a return. I think they'll look good in this game, or at least be better than they have been recently. And yeah, with Burnley, I think one of Chris Wood or Cornet could cause them all sorts of problems, maybe even both of them. But yeah, I'd go with 2-1, I guess, but I could be completely wrong. I'm going for McGinn or Bowen in Game Week 16. Yeah, once I go with McGinn, he can be this sort of player where he occasionally gets this big haul like he did this week. But I would rather go for Bowen, mate. Honestly, I'd rather go for Bowen. When are you looking to get rid of Raf? Around Game Week 16, potentially Nassar. But yeah, I'm happy to keep him for the next 2. Anish says, got 48, Kane, Foden, Alonso, James to play, Dennis on the bench. I think that's pretty decent, mate. That's a good score. Yeah, I think that's pretty fine. And you're in a good position heading into Game Week 14, just my personal opinion. Thank you, FC Ramsey. Does it mean that we will have one transfer up to Tuesday, then another till next weekend? Yeah, so if you have only one free transfer heading into the next game week, you will be able to use that ahead of Tuesday. And then heading into the weekend, next weekend, you will have 2 free transfers if you decide to save it ahead of Game Week 14. So yeah, that's how it works. 43 with 6 left. That's a good score, Toby. It's direct competition between Trent and Reece James for Player of the Year. Yeah, but I mean, it has to be Salah at the moment, to be honest. But those two are kind of, in the podium, you could say. Cancelo, good shout. I think Cancelo's arguably just as good, if not better, especially in all competitions. I have to say, in all competitions, I think Cancelo has been better than Trent, but of course, all 3 have been unbelievable. Do you think Foden will come off the bench if he doesn't start? If he is on the bench, I think if City are in a position where they need a goal, I think Foden will come on. But of course, Pep did say if, there is any risk, Foden won't be risked. So really, I just think he's going to be in the starting 11, or he might not be in the squad at all. But of course, it's always nice to have a player like him off the bench. Thoughts on Gallagher? Still think he's a good option, Wei Seng, but he's not as good of an option with Milivojevic in the side and also Eze being in the starting 11 or just coming onto the pitch and, kind of pushing Gallagher a bit further back. Jimenez to Antonio, Gameweek 15. Not sure about Gameweek 15 because isn't that when Antonio plays Chelsea, which is not really an ideal fixture, but I think Antonio in Gameweek 16 is when you'd probably want to do that, or Gameweek 18. But of course, let's wait and see with Antonio. He hasn't really been too good recently. And I'm not thinking of benching Lamptey currently. Yeah, I can see why, mate. And let's actually look at the fixtures for Gameweek 14. So, Brighton play West Ham. I would still probably bench him, mate, because he is facing West Ham. Of course, I could be wrong about that, but I would expect West Ham to score probably 2 goals at least. But yeah, I think Lamptey is that sort of player, a bit like Livramento earlier in the season, where you could just literally play him in most of the games and you won't really worry about it. Captain Trent today and got niced. Worth James captain next week? Well, some people will have doubts. Some users in the chat made a good point about Reece James potentially being benched. What I think could happen though is that Reece James will be benched in the Champions League and it will be Azpilicueta playing as the right wing back potentially. And, Chelsea can win that game against Zenit easily and top the group that way. James gets the rest and then plays against Watford. And if he does start, I think he's a great option. I'm actually thinking of captaining him, to be honest. I have kind of been template all year. The only time I've kind of deviated away from the main captain, I think, was when I captained Bruno against Southampton and he got 1 point. Salah got 2, I think, or 3 points, something like that, against Burnley. His only blank of the season, by the way. And in all the other games, I've captained Salah. But I am thinking about it. I think it's a good shout, yeah. Will Duffy play next match? I'm not sure about the next match, but I think he will occasionally get some starts during this Christmas period. But honestly, mate, I think Duffy is just, you can't rely on him to be a consistent starter from now. Sanchez finally paying his owners, yeah. It's about time, to be honest. He's still a good option. I'd just rather have Ramsdale. I think he is the best budget keeper you can go for. Duffy to Reguilon or Duffy to Alonso? For me, Alonso. And if you want, check out my Game Week 13 preview where I compare their stats. And of course, it's still relevant because they haven't played yet in Game Week 13. And Alonso is far superior despite having half the games of Reguilon almost. Hudson-Odoi. I've seen quite a lot of people asking me about Hudson-Odoi recently. He is a good option, but or at least in certain weeks he's a good option. I just think there's too many different places you can go in the midfield. You can go for Gallagher, Smith-Rowe, Cornet, Jota, Foden, Bernardo Silva. There's so many more options. Son. So I don't really see a need to go for him, to be honest. He is a decent choice. But honestly, with Chelsea, I'd rather cover them with the fullbacks, with Rudiger or Lukaku up front. I probably wouldn't want to go there. And I would expect some rotation in the wings, in the winger positions. Rafinha was mediocre today. Leeds in general seemed very mediocre. Though Gallagher didn't exactly seem much better. Him going deeper and deeper is worrying. Yeah, that's true. I still think, though, Rafinha is the kind of spark for Leeds United. And I think he will have one return over the next 2. Of course, I could be wrong. But yeah, Rafinha wasn't great today. Neither was Gallagher, though. And long term, I would rather have Gallagher, and especially with the fixtures. But yeah, Rafinha is definitely, you would look to sell him around Game Week 16, especially if there's not really an upturn in form. Thoughts on Arsenal? Arsenal should have scored more goals. I think 3-0 would have been a fair score, but 2-0 is obviously, fine. Newcastle didn't really have a sniff in the game. So Arsenal defensively, I'm pretty impressed with, but it's still in the big games. That's where Arsenal they're nowhere near the top 3 at the moment, and that is proven by their record against them. 0 goals scored, 11 conceded. The attack, though, worries me, and I think that the creativity and the attack could cost Arsenal top 4. I don't think Arsenal will finish top 4, by the way, but they have a chance. They're in a good position right now. The joint 4th, should I say? I wish they were joint top. But yeah, with Arsenal, I think they'll finish between 5th and 8th. That's why I honestly think. They have some good young players. Ramsdale's been a revelation, but I just think they just lack a certain something, especially a striker. I think a clinical striker. Aubameyang is way off it at the moment, and the miss he made. I mean, I said on Twitter, I think it's the worst miss of the season. Missing it from 1 yard out and hitting the outside of the post. But yeah, honestly, with Arsenal, Arteta's doing decent, but still not completely convinced, to be honest. But of course, it's going to be a long ride, and the kind of scheme or the project here is backing young players and a young manager. So let's see how it goes. Spurs vs Burnley was 1-0 with a Lucas goal. Yeah, fair enough. Wait, are you not about the home game? Because in the away game, if I'm not mistaken, at Turf Moor, it was Son who got the goal, and I think Kane got an assist, something like that. But yeah, if it was the home game, then yeah, it would have been Lucas. I missed the beginning. Why reaction stream? Yeah, because there's a quick turnaround of games. So we've got a game week on Tuesday. We've got another game week there. And also, because there's not really anyone streaming, but I'm not crying, by the way, there's no one streaming today as well, so just something else to kind of fill the void if people want to watch today, and also talk about how they're doing so far, what's going to happen tomorrow, and also looking ahead to Game Week 14 already, having a good idea of our transfers. And also, I think it's actually a good thing to, after all the games are done, you have more information and everything, but also at the same time, it's good to have, your original plan and kind of stick to it, and talking about it here in the live chat. And also, a lot of people do vote for it. Whenever I put polls out, most people prefer it to be on Saturday, but of course, I'm open to sometimes doing it after all the games are done. I've done it before as well. But yeah, fair enough, mate. Do these transfers improve my team? Foden to Jota, Semedo to James, Jimenez to King over the next this game week and next game week? I think so, Colin. With King, once again, the 2 game weeks to come, even after tomorrow, very poor fixtures for King and Watford. But I think overall you're improving your team, definitely. Is Villa a powerhouse now? Not a powerhouse, but they could challenge, maybe for the top half of the table for sure, and they could be maybe a threat to a Spurs, maybe even an Arsenal, these sorts of teams. But yeah, Villa were, quite a bit of a threat last season to the kind of top 7, 9. But yeah, I wouldn't say they're a powerhouse. Would you go directly Saka to Jota? Yeah, I definitely would, Jonathan. And once again with Saka, my kind of thoughts on it was keep Saka for Newcastle, then sell him. And he is an injury doubt as well, heading into the United game. Not having Jota this week is going to hurt me badly. Really need Son to turn up tomorrow. Yeah, but over the next 3, Son should be able to match him or outscore him. But yeah, I can see. Yeah, without Jota, if I didn't get Jota in the end, I probably would be kicking myself, to be honest. Time to stop captaining Salah. Potentially, I am thinking of captaining James, to be honest. When are bonus points added? I think they should be added around this time. So in the next hour or so, as we're streaming, they tend to update it. So then I'll refresh my page and voila. What are your transfer plans for the next game weeks? I talked about this before, Diego Ramos. So just to be clear, let me actually show you. And let's get the transfer section up. So what I'm thinking of doing is I've got 1.4 million in the bank. And honestly, I think Townsend to Gallagher is the way to go. The only thing that kind of puts me off is the fact that Milivojevic in the side. Gallagher is not as good of an asset that way. And also, if Eze is in the starting lineup or even just comes off from the bench, Gallagher isn't as appealing. I still think, though, he's the best option around his price. But it does concern me a little bit. But I think Townsend to Gallagher is an upgrade regardless, and I could do that. But if not, I could still find ways of, maintaining my budget. And if anything, keeping someone similar to Townsend in terms of price. So obviously Gallagher now is 6.1 million. Maybe instead of getting Gallagher, someone cheaper even, and that will enable me to do Vardy to Ronaldo or Kane in the coming weeks. But to be honest, I think Townsend to Gallagher is a simple move. I shouldn't overthink it. And maybe in 2 game weeks time, Rafinha to Bernardo Silva. So just let me actually demonstrate this now, and you'll see how much money I have left in the bank. But yeah, I'd have 7.4. I'd have enough money to have Bernardo Silva and Gallagher. So my team would look like this. And then the other transfer I'd be looking to make is Livramento out potentially. And I would look to get in Lamptey, I think. But let's actually look at the other options around 4.6 million. Yeah, once again, maybe Rico Henry's a decent kind of attacking option, but I don't trust Brentford defensively right now. Mark Guéhi, I actually mentioned him, and he did score last game week as well, didn't he, against Burnley? And he scored again a last-minute goal against Aston Villa. Now, that's not really sustainable, I think, but he is a bit of a threat in terms of goal scoring, so he's not a bad option. I think Palace defensively are a bit worrying, so I probably wouldn't go there in the end. So ultimately, I'm looking at the options. I already have Ramsdale, so I'm not looking at White or Tomiyasu. I don't want to double up on Arsenal. Dyer isn't the worst option in the world. I think I had him last season. He could be decent, to be fair. And look at that, some decent returns in the last 2. Of course, a bit lucky, you could say, against Leeds with the assist. But yeah, Eric Dyer's not too bad. But I think really I'm looking at Lamptey. Lamptey is the main guy. I'm looking at the rest of the players. Maybe Target is not too bad. But once again, 4.6 million, I would be 0.1 million off. But I wouldn't mind an Aston Villa defender over the next few game weeks, or at least, after the kind of tough fixtures have cleared. But ultimately, just to answer your question, I think this is what I'm kind of looking at the moment. My current transfer plans is, over the next 2 or 3 game weeks, getting Gallagher in for Townsend, getting Bernardo Silva for Rafinha, and then Lamptey in for Livramento. And I think overall I'd be pretty happy with this squad. But then I would probably be heading into Game Week 17 with one free transfer. That's the kind of problem here. And that's when Vardy has some tough fixtures. But I think he could do all right against Tottenham. Maybe it's not too bad to keep him there. But ultimately, if you look at this, I've got, 0.2 million left. And there will be price rises probably. So I would foresee that I probably would maybe even struggle to make these transfers in the end. And it will be difficult to do Vardy up to Kane or Ronaldo. So I have to think about this. But I wouldn't mind having this squad. I think it's pretty decent, to be fair. Let me know what you guys think down in the live chat. And obviously very much appreciate all your feedback. Captain Salah. Let me try to get back up. Salah or Jamie Vardy or Jota. Next week, I would still put Salah top. But Vardy's a decent option as well. And yeah, I still wouldn't captain Jota over Salah, to be honest. But of course, it would have been the right thing to do this week. 48 with James Cancelo, Tony and Bernardo Silva left. That's pretty decent, mate. You could get into the 60s, and that's pretty decent. FPL Adam. Good to see you on here again. Palace double up does not work, in my opinion. I think the one option is good. Either Benteke up front or Gallagher. But in terms of the defence, I would be a bit sceptical, to be honest. Either Gaeta in goal or Gay in the defence. But yeah, they are a bit sus defensively. Can't believe I have Zaha. He was very close to scoring, Khalid. Just about 1 inch away from scoring. But yeah, I would rather have Gallagher. How many players left to play? Good question. I actually didn't cover that, so thank you very much. So at the moment, Ramsdale, Trent, Rafinha, Jota, and Salah have played for me. My captain, of course, has gone. I've got 3 defenders left: Cancelo, Alonso, and James. And I've got no midfielders left, but I have Antonio, Vardy and Tony. So if the attackers finally start delivering, I could be in for quite a good week and a significant rank rise. So I'm very happy with my position because ultimately I've got 6 players left, don't I? So I think that's a pretty good position to be in. 45 points and 6 players left. I'm very happy with that. And the same goes for any of you. A lot of people have similar scores to me as well, and if not higher, and with plenty of players left, I think that's a good position to be in my opinion. Tomiyasu versus Lamptey. I would still rather have Lamptey. Obviously, Tomiyasu, a lot of people are mentioning him now because of the assist. It was a very good ball for Martinelli, but I would still rather have Lamptey. And in terms of Arsenal defence, I'd rather have, Ramsdale in goal, and if not, Ben White in the defence. Colin says Ramsdale to rise tonight. I'm not too surprised, and right now, he's kind of like the Martinez of last season. He's looking very good. Bring in Trent or Ronaldo as a long-term asset from Game Week 14 onwards. Still has to be Trent for me. I think Trent is just so consistent, so many avenues of points. It has to be Trent regardless. United have the better fixtures, but Liverpool are a much better team, and I would say Trent. But that's not to say you can't go for Ronaldo. I think I'd be keeping an eye on Ronaldo ahead of Game Week 16. Arsenal are a young team, so they'll get better, of course, but I think they need to finish the season in a spot where they can qualify for European football for the experience. Yeah, and I think it's just good for the squad being in Europe. I don't like being in Europa League or Conference League. And I wouldn't want to be in Conference League, to be honest, regardless. But, having that tournament, an extra tournament where you can put your kind of squad players in there, your youth academy, Balogun can get some games as well. It would be very helpful. And also Martinelli. And it gets them up to match sharpness, gets them up to speed. And it's just healthy competition for places. So I agree. And also Arsenal could win the Europa League. The thing with Arsenal, though, I have to say, they are kind of bottlers in Europe, in my opinion. But Europa League, even, a win there, that could change things. Alonso in for Duffy with Rudiger. I think that's good, Cody. I would look to do that. Obviously, wait until tomorrow before making that move, but Duffy to Alonso definitely looks good. So if not Arsenal, who do you think will finish 4th? I think Man United. I think Man United will finish 4th. I said this before, they appointed Ranić, and I think it's a good appointment, and they've got a really good run now from Game Week 16 onwards. Obviously not now necessarily, but from Game Week 16 onwards, fantastic run for, up until February. I think that's where they can go on a run, similar to what Oli did when he first, took charge as an interim or caretaker boss, and I think he could do a very good job there. Alba, thoughts on FPL with Arsenal fixtures coming up? Aubameyang's not a buy, he's not a hold, he's a sell in my opinion. Just don't go for Aubameyang for me. You look at the chance he missed, he can occasionally get the haul, even double digits, but for me he's not worth. He's not the same player as he once was. He's had some good games this season, but even the penalty misses and open goal misses, for me there's just so much better value elsewhere. Not for me. 36 points for Reguilon, Alonso, Diaz and Tony not looking good for me. It's not a good position to be in if I'm being quite frank, but still some good players in your squad, and I wouldn't be too disgruntled. I think you've got just a few days left for Game Week 14 and you can bounce back immediately. 48 points with 5 left to go. Lamptey benched. Looks not so good this week. That's not too bad though, Waiseng. 48 points with 5 left. You could easily get 60 plus. Yeah, I agree, Romo. I think that's decent. Welcome to Gamers YouTube Shorts and Full Videos. Well, what name? Thank you very much for tuning in. Hey Dylan got 13 and 12 from Salah and Jota, but just 1 from Aubameyang again. What do you think about Saint-Maximin or Wilson? Pretty good for the next 2 fixtures, but Wilson is 1 yellow card away from suspension. I wouldn't do that, mate. As in, I wouldn't get Saint-Maximin or Wilson, but I would sell Aubameyang, definitely. Sell him for Kane if you can, or Ronaldo. And if not, maybe a Vardy, or looking at maybe the kind of mid-priced options. But yeah, Joshua King in 2 or 3 game weeks time looks good, or Benteke. But I think Wilson or Saint-Maximin, I probably wouldn't go there right now. Villa Storm, Liverpool once again. Nah, I don't think so. Yeah, I think Liverpool would win that. So Villa plays attacking or defensive. I haven't seen too much of them, to be honest, but I think more attacking. But I think Gerrard... Look, in terms of... Because you mentioned the Liverpool game, I think Liverpool could actually still batter them, by 2 or 3 at least. Well, to be fair, battering isn't really by 2, but yeah. I think Villa, they're looking better right now, but it's only 2 game weeks, and... Let's wait and see. There is a bit of a managerial bounce we see at the moment. I think Gerrard will do a good job there. But yeah, I wouldn't be such in a rush to get their assets in. You don't plan to get CR7, Dylan? I mean, you can't have everyone. And Ronaldo isn't justifying his price. But I think he will start to do well from Game Week 16 onwards. I'm open to the idea of getting Ronaldo. But at the same time, I don't want to just completely rip apart my squad to get in someone who is off form. Obviously, he's doing well in all competitions. But in the Premier League specifically, not, he's not doing too amazing. Is Salah a set and forget captain now? I mean, the thing is, though, you could captain someone else in Game Week 14, I think. He is facing Everton. It is a derby. But then again, Everton are very poor defensively. And in recent weeks, in terms of underlying defensive stats, they're one of the worst teams. So it's still a good captaincy option. He is a good set and forget captain. He is the only one I'd set and forget. But I would also consider other alternatives, Vardy, Harry Kane or Son against Brentford at home, or also Norwich the game after, and also Reece James away to Watford, same with Alonso. If you have Ramsdale, get Lamptey. If you have Sanchez, get Tomiyasu. I would rather cover both teams, so I like the way you put it. I would have Ramsdale and Lamptey. I think that's the best combination. I wouldn't go for Sanchez and Tomiyasu. I think their ceiling is slightly lower than the other two. If I am sure that James starts versus Watford, I will captain him over Salah 100%. Yeah, I am considering it, to be honest. I think that is a very good kind of differential captaincy. And to be honest, it might not really be too much of a differential captaincy. Thank you very much, Golden Boys, for letting me know that the bonus points have been put in. So let us now refresh the page. And there we go. Voila. Let's see. Yeah, I thought I did something weird with the hotkeys for a second, so my bad. But there you go. 45 points. Diego Jota with 1 bonus point. Jesus. Yeah, that's crazy. I thought we'd have got more, but as you can see here, just the 1 bonus point for Diego Jota. He doesn't really get too many bonus points, does he? And the chance that he misses does play a part in that. But yeah, there you go. Vardy plus Mbumo to Jesus and Jota from -4. I'm not too keen on Jesus though, but I probably would because of Jota. I'd say it's worth it, but Vardy could do well over the next 3 game weeks after Watford even. Thinking of maybe saving my transfer for Game Week 14 so I could get 2 for Game Week 15. Antonio to Hwang maybe to facilitate Livramento to Cancelo. I wouldn't do Antonio to Hwang, honestly, because Hwang has poor fixtures from Game Week 15 onwards. I don't think it's the right time to get him in. I would rather go for King instead of Hwang, to be honest, mate. But I do like Livramento to Cancelo. That's a fantastic move. But yeah, consider King instead of Hwang. I think that would be better. Who's a better option at 5 million, Rice or Højbjerg? If I'm being honest, neither. If you had to pick one, possibly Rice, but I probably wouldn't go there. I just downgrade to a 4.5 million option. Like Gilmore, for example, I wouldn't go for them. Do you think Tavares is a good punt? His performances have been superb. Not against Liverpool. He was really poor there, but yeah, he looked very lively today. Very good bounce back after a very disappointing performance against Liverpool. But then again, he was probably the toughest game, for a fullback or any defender facing Liverpool away. But yeah, I think he's a good kind of cheap option. If he continues to nail down that spot, I think he's a very good option around 4.3 million. But I think Tierney should. In my opinion, I would still start Tierney against United. But yeah, I think Tavares has earned the place for now. Welcome, Simon. Thank you very much for joining in, or Simon. Vardy or Iheanacho versus Southampton? Definitely Vardy, mate. No doubt about it. Obviously, Iheanacho, he was very good last season towards the end, but for some reason just hasn't really carried that over this season. But definitely Vardy. I have Trent, Van Dijk, and Salah. Who would you sell Van Dijk and buy Jota for -4? Oh yeah, I would. I probably would. Yeah. If not, you could wait another week and then do it for free. But I would do that for sure. Get Jota in and replace Van Dijk. Best mid-priced forward from Gameweek 15 onwards. For me, Joshua King, Golden Boys, and if not, Benteke. But yeah, that's what I would do. Watkins looks good Gameweek 16. I think so as well. I mentioned him, I think, in the last few streams. But yeah, I think he does look good. And same with, of course, Cash and Target in the defence. And also, potentially, Danny Ings. I captained Sanchez goalkeeper by accident. Jesus, but at least he, got some points for you. But yeah. Then again, he did outscore Salah. So, or yeah, similar points anyway. Any teams you want to talk about who will rotate a lot in Gameweek 14? Well, City are always going to be up there, and Chelsea is another team that could rotate, especially if they play a very strong team in the Champions League. So it has to be Chelsea and Man City. So be wary of that. So yeah, that's it is what it is there. But Everton are parking the bus every game. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Liverpool are that good offensively. I don't really think it. Yeah, I think Liverpool can still put quite a lot of goals past them. How do bonus points work? So if you go on the FPL website and you go to the fixtures, any game that's already been played, if you click on the fixture, you will get all this information. And at the bottom, there will be this bonus points system. So whichever players get the highest points, which is obviously marked in brackets, they end up being on the bonus points podium. So as you can see here, Tomiyasu got 3 bonus points. Then it was Gabriel and Tavares with 2. And finally, Saka and Ramsdale got 1. But I think in the end, Ramsdale didn't get the bonus point. But yeah, you can see there. Sometimes it's kind of weird. There can be up to 5 players getting bonus points. But yeah, that's how it works. And it's determined by goals, by assists, by clean sheets, tackles, passes, all this kind of thing. Anything that, can contribute to a football match. Those things, play a part in the bonus point system. I think it's slightly flawed. In a way, sometimes, those players who deserve bonus points, who have been the best player in the match, they're not really reflected because the stats don't really back them up as such. But yeah, that's how the bonus point system works. Hopefully you got a little overview there. There we go. I'm thinking to sell Son, but I don't know who to bring in. Probably Jota if you don't have him already, but I'd keep Son, honestly. Keep him for the next 2 at least. Come on, Jota. Had 2 tap-ins, nothing else to do in the game. Even 1 bonus point is too much. Yeah, but just in general, it's kind of an observation about him. He doesn't get too many bonus points in general. Antonio to King and Livramento to Cancelo, thank you. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah. Obviously, once again, with Antonio to King, yeah, that's something I would look to do mainly in Gameweek 50. Oh, Jesus, voice crack. 15 or 16, but the problem is Antonio starts to have good fixtures from then on in. Ramsdale robbed, yep, he got robbed off the save at the last second. That should have been 6 saves and another save point and also another bonus. But yeah, it is what it is, can't complain too much, but he should have got one. What time is the daily price changes? It happens because the clocks have gone back in the UK recently, around a month ago. It's now around 1:30, 1 a.m. UK time when it happens. And before that time change, it would have been 2 or 2:30 a.m. So obviously just check, if you're in another country, check how your time zone compares to the UK. But in the UK, it's around 1 to 1:30 a.m. UK time. That's when the prices change every day. Jota only having 1 bonus point is a joke, so we have another kind of opinion there. I think he should have got 2. I think that would have been fair. Maybe not 3, but 2 would have been fair. Midnight says Golden Boys. Yeah, kind of around there. 1 to 30 a.m. Smith Rowe scored the winning goal against Watford and he got no bonus points. Yeah, I can't remember exactly who got the bonus points in that game. I think Ramsdale didn't get bonus points there, did he? But yeah, that seems like such a long time ago now. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, when you compare it to Jota, for example, he scored 2 goals and, the first one was very important. It was the goal to put them ahead. Fernandes would receive 3 bonus points for a dodgy pen. Yeah, but I think it's because of the chances created and all of that other stuff. And also, when a midfielder scores, it does propel them up. But then again, why is Jota not getting it? And that's another point you can make. So Gilmour would be the best option in 4.5 million. Not necessarily. Once again, with 4.5 million options, there's not a standout as such. Norman is another one, but he is an injured out now. He's marked as 50% to play ahead of Gameweek 14. Probably wouldn't say Brownhill at this point. I've always said him, but he's not really someone to think about. Allen's still good, when he's fit. Douglas Luiz, But yeah, honestly, yeah, those options are probably amongst the best. Basuma, but not really too infused with the 4.5 million options. Which team do you support? I support Arsenal in the UK. Support Argentina as my national team, and this team right here, Rosario Central. That's my Argentinian team, as you can see. Yeah, hopefully you got that. Yeah, Jota robbed the free bonus 2 goals. I'd say he probably deserved 2 bonus points in my opinion. Probably not 3, but that's how the bonus point system is. Why haven't you sold Townsend yet? Well, I'm looking to sell him now for Gallagher, but once again, I just haven't been able to, find that transfer because I've looked to get in on James and Chilwell, then now getting on Alonso, also Jota. So I've had to kind of change things up a bit. Agreed, Jota should have had 3 bonus points at least too. Yeah. Looking at it, normally he would get 3 bonus points. So yeah. Is Jota not a better option than Foden since Jota looks nailed? Well, that's why. That's why I've kind of turned my opinion. I thought before Foden was the better option. He's got better stats as well since he's coming into the side around Game Week 7. But yeah, the thing is, Foden also, playing false 9 for Liverpool for City is obviously such a big thing. But now Jota's doing that for Liverpool and he's nailed. Foden will occasionally be benched and he's an injured out. So I think Jota is right now the better option for sure. But for me, Foden is still a very good option. I'd like to have him as well, if possible. Who should I be looking to bring in for Jimenez and Dennis replacements? Already have Gallagher. Honestly, mate, look, Dennis is looking pretty good actually around Game Week 16, 17 onwards, so you could hold. But I would rather have Joshua King to replace Dennis. And instead of Jimenez, I think Antonio around Game Week 16 or 18 is looking good. If not, Benteke. That's what I would look to. It's BS. Jota didn't get free bonus. Yeah, but, still some good healthy returns. Can't complain too much. Should I go for Arsenal wingers? Not for me. I think Smith Rowe's still the only midfielder I'd go for. Saka's probably second in command there, but I honestly wouldn't go for any other Arsenal player other than the defenders and Ramsdale in goal. I have 55 points with Cancelo, James, Reguilon and Son to play, and that's a good position to be in, Kavir. Pretty good. For the chat, shouldn't Ramsdale and Saka get 1 bonus point as well? They should. They should, the Scrambler. But theoretically they should, but he didn't get it in the end. I think, didn't Saka get the bonus point? Let me actually check. Let's actually check this with Bukayo Saka. So let's check Saka. Did he actually get the bonus point in the end? I think he did, didn't he? And as you can see, he is marked as a doubt. No bonus points for Saka. No? Well, am I being dumb? Yeah, I'm being dumb, am I? No bonus points. I was looking at his overall bonus points. Dumbass. Yeah, no bonus points for Saka either. So, so the way that works then, if you actually scroll back down to the fixture, is Tomiyasu, Gabriel and Tavares. They're the ones who got the bonus points. So it was Tomiyasu 3 and Gabriel and Tavares both on 2. And no one got 1 bonus point. So Ramsdale, I think very unlucky. Should have got 6 saves. It didn't count the 6 saves for some reason. And also the bonus point. So, just got to take it on the chin sometimes. But, the bonus point system is flawed, I think, to be honest. Let's see. I have Trent, James Alonso, Cancelo and Diaz, says Ifeanyi. I have 2 free transfers. Thoughts on Rafinha to Jota and Diaz to a 5.2 million defender or Adam Armstrong to a 5.2 striker. Armstrong's a sell. What I would do in your situation, mate, Diaz isn't really a bad keep. City have good fixtures, but I would definitely do Rafinha to Jota, despite the fact Rafinha can do well in the next 2. I would do Diaz to Reguilon, perhaps. If not, maybe looking at Target or Cash. And I would look to Reguilon first, though. And Armstrong, I would look to move on to King. That's what I would do in your situation, mate. Jota missed some big chances, had shots off target and lost possession quite a bit. That affects bonus points, and that's what I described as well. And that's why Jota never really gets bonus points, because he misses so many chances. Norwich, a defensive team, they are more so now, and to be honest, that's the only way they're going to really stay up, because their defence before was absolutely awful. So I think it's more of a defence-first approach, but they are still creating quite a lot of chances, and maybe they're a bit unlucky not to win today. What are your transfer plans for Game Week 14? I've showed it before, earlier on, and as you can see here, I'm looking to do Townsend to Gallagher, despite the fact that I have my reservations about Gallagher. And I've been talking about this, for the last game week or 2, since the kind of news broke out about McCarthy being out, Milivojevic being back into the side, taking set pieces from Gallagher, and also looking at Eze starting to come back into the fray as well. But Townsend to Gallagher looks like a simple move. If not, I could look at Cornet, potentially, or someone else around that price, maybe Jared Bowen in a few weeks, then that would give me enough money to, well, I already have enough money to be honest. Then I would probably look to do Rafinha to Bernardo around Game Week 16, and also Lamptey coming in for Livramento. So that's kind of my transfer plans at the moment. But the kind of main flaw with my team is no Spurs coverage potentially, and also no clear route to get Manchester United assets like Bruno Fernandes or Cristiano Ronaldo. And I only have 0.2 million left with those proposed transfers. So Lamptey, Bernardo Silva and Gallagher. Who is the best Rafinha replacement for when his fixtures get hard? Gallagher. Yeah, I still think Gallagher is probably one of the better ones, FPL guide. And also looking at Cornet. Smith Rowe's decent, but I'd mainly be looking at Bowen. I think other than Gallagher, Bowen is the main guy I'd look for, and there's also Cornet. So if you're looking for someone cheaper, if you can upgrade, you could go to Bernardo Silva. I think he could be a good pick. And of course, if you don't have Jota and you have enough money, do Rafinha to Jota. Thoughts on Alonso captain next game week? I think that's a good one. And I actually had the vice captaincy on him by accident. I meant to put it on Reece James when I first set it up, but yeah, I think Reece James and Alonso are good captaincy shouts next game week. Only support one country who is so good that you have to say their name twice, says Kavir. You know what? I probably would try to think about that, but it'll probably just, it'll take too much time. 7 points off the bench. Thank you, Williams and Tierney. Wow. I mean, fair play. Damn. Yeah, Williams off the bench, Enjoy it, mate. It's not too often that happens. What to do with Tony and Mbumo? I'd probably look to keep Tony for now, but sell Mbumo for sure. Got Sanchez. Should I get Lamptey or not? Don't want to rely on one defence too much. That's a tough one, but yeah, I'd still look to get Lamptey in potentially, or Eric Dyer or Ben White. But yeah, in your situation, get Lamptey, and if you ever have a spare goalkeeper transfer or transfer to make, I would maybe move Sanchez onto Ramsdale. But of course, that is looking a bit more difficult as the weeks go by. Game week 15, Kane captain regardless, or still Salah captain? Difficult one. So if we look at game week 15 fixtures, obviously we're looking even further ahead. So Liverpool play Wolves away. That's not the best fixture, to be honest, but I still think Salah could haul. But yeah, Kane against Norwich at home. Norwich have improved recently, though. That's what I would say against that. But yeah, it's definitely something to consider. Who else? And I actually talked about this in recent streams. I was looking at further, weeks ahead. Man City assets against Watford. Maybe Cancelo. He could be a very good option against Watford. Even Bernardo Silva or Foden if they start. City tend to batter Watford. Absolutely batter them. They're the kind of favourite opposition. So, maybe consider a Man City asset as well if you have them. So yeah, that's what I would probably say in your situation. Let's see. Is a -4 for a goalkeeper ever worth it? Nah, not in my opinion. Yeah, Fernandes is only playing goalkeeper. Not for a -4, mate. It's only for a free transfer. A -4. And also Ramsdale's playing Man United next week, or in midweek, should we say. So not for me. But get Ramsdale for sure. Son down to Jota, Matip to Alonso for a -4. Just stick with Son. I don't like Matip. I've said this from the beginning. He's not really starting every game now. I think overall you improve your team, but Son down to Jota ahead of Brentford and Norwich at home. It's a tough one, but you do improve your team overall. But just taking a hit just kind of puts me off FPL Dream, but it does improve your team, if I'm being honest. Just to kind of give you a clear there. 52 with James, Cancelo, Reguilon, Kane to play decent. That's more than decent, Christian. That's a pretty good position to be in. Is it time for premium forwards? It's too early to say, obviously, but in FPL you want to be ahead of the curve. I think it will be time for premium forwards over the Christmas period. I think they'll start delivering, and I think all of them are good. Looking long term up until February, it has to be Ronaldo for me, looking at the fixtures. But then again, is he worth that kind of 12 million price bracket? No. But then again, it is Kane, not at the moment, and Lukaku isn't worth 11 million either. But I think all of them will come into form, especially Lukaku. I have a good feeling about him playing in such a good team as well. What are your thoughts about Cornet? I think he's one of the best options around his price, him, Bowen and Gallagher, and I think he's a good option. Good fixtures, and I think he can cause Spurs some problems in game week 13 and in the weeks to come. I think he's got some hauls. But at the same time, having said all that, I like him as an asset. I think obviously some very good finishes, and his XG and his underlying numbers aren't particularly impressive, but of course his finishing has been sublime. Is it sustainable though? Not too sure. Sanchez got bonus with less saves than Ramsdale. Yeah, I also remember Sanchez got like a bonus point for creating a big chance for Malpai against Palace. I think we're talking about like a month ago maybe now, or a few weeks ago. And I think in the end he got like 2 points or 3 points with that bonus point included. So yeah, it's a bit weird how it goes. But yeah, I think just with the Arsenal one, with the Arsenal game, there are more kind of standouts in that. When you look at a 0-0 between Leeds and Brighton, the goalkeepers are more likely to get the points. Sell Livramento and Ward-Prowse for similar priced double Lamptey and Trossard. Definitely Lamptey, but not too sure about Trossard now. Once again, I'd rather go for Bowen, Gallagher, and also Cornet. Really wish they gave the Premier League TV rights to Amazon Prime for the weekend, 3 PM games that aren't shown on Sky or BT. It makes so much sense. Yeah, I think that could happen actually. That's a good point. I think in the future that could happen. And over this Christmas period, there's quite a lot of games in Amazon Prime. I've got an Amazon Prime subscription. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. Not shouting them out, but yeah, pretty happy with that. Eze looks not bad today. Well, he's a good player, to be honest. And he's coming back to speed after such a lengthy injury. And he's a quality player. And Michael Elise as well, and Gallagher. Palace have some good attacking talent. Got Gallagher to get to James. I think that looks good, Mark. And I'm looking to get Gallagher as well, despite my kind of reservations about him. Jota or Son? Well, right now I have to say Jota. And I said this even before his haul today. Jota is looking the better one. But if you have Son, don't sell him ahead of the next two. Neto from Wolves will be coming back from injury. He's one to look out for. But once again with Wolves, I'm mainly looking at probably Jimenez, to be honest. Why Gallagher is still such a hot option after he plays deeper position? Well, he did against Burnley, didn't he? And he still could have got even more points than he did. So I still think it's a good option. I'm so annoyed I was going to get Jota for Foden, but I got Bernardo. But Bernardo is still a good option. And if you look at the fixtures long term, they're better than Liverpool's. But yeah, you can also have Bernardo and Jota. That's what I'm maybe looking to do myself. Show us your current points. All right, mate. My current points are here. What you just saw before was my transfer plans. And yeah, I've got 45 points, a small green arrow from 90k to 74k, and 848 points overall. If I had 400, oh my god, I'd be bottom, pretty much. Let's see. So I'm getting Bernardo Silva in for next game week 2. I'm hoping he doesn't play versus West Ham tomorrow, so he has a good chance of playing next game week. Nah, he's going to play. He's going to play against West Ham. He's so important to them. He's been playing pretty much 90 minutes every game. He's going to play, just to be realistic. Mbeumo to Jota, Duffy to White or Tavares, and Hwang to 4.4 or facilitate all this would be a -4 hit, but I'm forced to play 4-4-2. Worth it, really? Mbeumo to Jota is a great move. Duffy to White or Tavares is good. I think White would be the safer option long term. And Hwang to a bench fodder option. I would only take that hit and make those moves if you have good options on your bench. So if you have 2 good options on your bench to kind of compensate for that bench fodder 4.4 million striker, then go for it. Otherwise, maybe not. I was so torn on Son, Foden and Jota a couple of weeks ago. So glad I went with the cheapest and best option. Yeah, Jota's been immense in the last 2 game weeks, but before that, fairly inconsistent and, been vastly underperforming. But yeah, he's been doing really well. Do you have a pet? Which is your favourite dog breed? I don't have a pet, but I like a lot of dogs, to be honest. And a lot of them I don't really know the names, but I like golden retrievers. What's the other one? I mean, there's so many I actually can't remember. I like the Spaniel as well. And obviously I was going to say the fluffy white one, but there's obviously a name for it. I like the Scottish Terrier, for example, but there's another one. I think it's French something. But yeah, I like quite a few dog breeds. And well, we've got all sorts of questions here. But yeah, don't have any pets at the moment. Sounds like South Africa, says the Scrambler. Yeah. You took a -4 for the transfers? No, I'm not making any transfers. I was just showing my transfer plans over the next 3 game weeks or so. I wouldn't be taking hits like that because that would be a -8. I already made 2 free transfers heading into this week. I got in Alonso and Jota in for Chilwell and Foden. So what I'm looking to do potentially is getting either Lamptey for Livramento this week or Gallagher or maybe Cornet or another option in for Townsend. That's what I'm looking to do. I probably won't do it today. I think I can afford to wait another day. Gallagher went up in price yesterday, didn't he? So that's what I'm looking to do. Bear in mind, Ronaldo will get benched sometimes without any reason. Yeah, that could happen as well because he's 36 years old. He's not going to play every single game, or at least start every single game when it's every 2 or 3 days. So I do agree that could be something to think about. Best formation, says even. For me, going 4 at the back. So obviously, look, once again, it's about the players you have, not the formation per se. But this season, I think going 4 at the back is very important. And yeah, I'd say 4 at the back. So maybe a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3. And if I have to say, probably 4-4-2 is looking the best at the moment. If I have to put a specific formation, normally 3-4-3, 3-5-2 look the best. But right now I'd say 4-3-3 or 4-4-2, especially with the forwards kind of struggling. And even 4-5-1 looks pretty decent, to be honest. But yeah, anything with 4 at the back. Livramento for Lamptey, I'm looking to do that, to be honest. I think that's a good move, and he will probably outscore him over the next few. Rafinha to Jota tonight for a free transfer. Yeah, I think that's pretty decent, to be honest. Once again with Rafinha, I like him for the next 2, but yeah, I probably would do that. And if not, maybe wait. I know Jota's probably going to go up in price tonight, but maybe wait for tomorrow and all the games to be done and then make the move. But otherwise, yeah, you can risk it. Which Man City mid for Foden? If you have to make a move, Bernardo Silva. Gundogan's decent as well, but Bernardo Silva for sure. Who would you trade Chilwell for? Once again, anyone still with Chilwell? If you don't have Reece James already, get him in. Trent or Cancelo. If you have them already, great. Then go for maybe Marcos Alonso or Rudiger. And if not, go to a Reguilon or another mid-price option like Target or Matty Cash. Maybe not necessarily now, but after the next 2 game weeks, Villa have some good fixtures. And if not, go to the budget options like Lamptey. I think Lamptey could be the pick of the bunch there. I still have my reservations about him, to be honest, because he is injury prone, but he is a good option. And if not, you could go for Eric Dyer or Ben White or someone else. If Tavares stays in the lineup, he's also another good one. Saint-Maximin for the next 3 game weeks. He's a good option, but I wouldn't be bringing him in. Ollie Watkins from Gameweek 18. Yeah, I think he's a good choice. I think he could be very good. And I mentioned him even 1 or 2 game weeks ago, and I think under Gerrard he could do a very good job. If I get Jota this week, I can't do that. I'd still get Jota though. I'd still get him. Brace incoming. I have Vardy captain against Watford. I hope it pays off for you, mate. I don't know about a brace, but I think he will score. Hopefully, if he scores a brace or a hat-trick, I'd actually celebrate that more than the Jota points today. I'm thinking of doing Manquillo, Jimenez and Mbuma to King, Gallagher and Alonso. I think that looks good, to be honest. Yeah, that looks good. I think you're upgrading everyone, really. Don't do Jimenez to King this week, but Manquillo to Alonso, I'm guessing you need to do the other move as well to kind of facilitate that. But yeah, maybe Mbuma to Gallagher next week. Do that first. Oh, Samoyed Cloudboy, the fluffy white ones. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's really stupid for me to say fluffy white ones, to be honest. And it could be taken out of context. Anyway, but yeah, I can't remember the name. What is the name? It's probably not even what I was thinking of, isn't it? Oh my God, what was I thinking of actually? I need to actually think about that. But yeah, 4-4-2. Yeah, at the moment it's looking like that, Milan. With my 55 points, I am 4 points behind you. Very tight, very tight. Yeah, you got 10 more points than me this week, so you've closed the gap. Need some big returns from Vardy, Son and Mbuma to save my game week. Yeah, I think Vardy and Son could definitely do it. Mbuma could get a return against Everton. So yeah, I think you could be in for a nice surprise tomorrow, Adam. Hopefully those players do well, especially Vardy. Maybe I don't want Son to do well, but Vardy hopefully does well. Keep up the good work. Bless. Thank you very much. Much appreciated, and thank you very much for tuning in today. If you replace Livramento with Lamptey, would you play him? Permanent bench or when to play? I wouldn't always play him, but I wouldn't permanently bench him, to be honest. But I've already got 4 defenders, this is the thing. So most weeks, to be honest, I probably would be benching Lamptey. Yeah, so that's why I'm not really in such a rush to, change Livramento, but I would still want to have a good bench because, let's say, for example, James or Alonso or Cancelo are dropped because they're getting rested during this Christmas period. You need someone on the bench to, be good. Right now I've got Livramento, who is in poor form, or at least Southampton are in poor form. They've got some poor fixtures as well. Very, very mixed for a long period of time, up until game week 26, really. So it's not looking too good. Then you have Townsend, in my case, and Douglas Luiz. So that's a pretty weak bench right now. Livramento was looking very good before, but I need to upgrade my squad depth. So that's why I'm looking to get Gallagher or another good midfielder in for Townsend. And Lamptey is a good choice, but you don't have to... Yeah, you don't have to always play him, and you don't always have to bench him. Obviously, it depends on the week, but yeah, you have to be kind of flexible there. Tavares, Tomiyasu or Lamptey? Probably Lamptey, and have Ramsdale to cover Arsenal. Thank you, Evan. Just sub, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Or even, thank you very much. I put in transfer for Jota last night from Arsenal Canada here. Yeah, wow. Canada. Wow. I think that's the first time I've seen someone from Canada, or at least someone say that they're from Canada. But yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. And yeah, Jota getting him in last night, that's a very nice move, mate. Should Salah really be permanent captain? I mean, to be honest, earlier on, I did say I wouldn't permanent captain him, to be honest, because you want to be open-minded and there are opportunities. Maybe Game Week 14 presents a nice one, captaining Reece James against Watford, for example, or even Jamie Vardy, potentially, or Marcos Alonso. So, in my opinion, no. But if there's any player to permanently captain, it is Salah. But I am thinking of maybe deviating away from that in Game Week 14 or onwards. On 48 points, -4 with Kane, Tony, Cancelo, James and Royale. Come on, that's good. And even with the hit, that's looking like a good week, Hibs. Rafinha was a ghost today. From what I saw, he was a ghost. And the only time I really actually saw him was when, he was getting fouled or he was fouling someone, really. But, yeah. Rafinha, I mean, it was kind of a game of low quality anyway. And Brighton, if any team deserved it, was probably Brighton. But, yeah, I still don't mind having him for the next 2 game weeks. What do you do other than YouTube? I am an editor for a website at the moment, yeah. Do you think James is going to play every game? Not every game. I think he's going to be occasionally benched. You've got to be prepared for that. But, yeah, I think he'll play the vast majority. Do you think... Oh, yeah, I just said that. Hibs, my Scottish team. Yeah, wow. If you're asking me for my Scottish team, obviously you haven't. I don't have one. But, yeah, I always liked Rangers for some reason. I don't know why, but, yeah. When will Chilwell price fall again, Plow? I think either today or tomorrow. Probably today, to be honest. I think a lot of people are making that Chilwell to Alonso move, or if not, to Lamptey, etc. How's Discord going? It's going well. Obviously, in terms of any members, any channel members who join the Discord, I will add them to a members-only chat, and that's where we could even do voice chats, for example, and stuff like that. Good stream, buddy. Subscribe. Thank you very much, Milan. Good to see you here. And some very nice contributions to the live chat. So thank you very much, Milan. And hope to see you in future streams as well. Owned by M says, my team, what transfers should I do? I have 2.1 million in the bank. Sanchez, Alonso, Trent, Cody, Livramento, Williams, Saka, Salah, Jota, Foden. Yeah, which transfers to do? I look at your defence. I think that's probably the way to improve. And you don't have Cancelo or James. So, yeah, I'd be looking to bring them in. I like your midfield a lot. If Foden continues to be an injured out, then that's when you could sell him and maybe downgrade him to a Gallagher and then upgrade, for example, let's say Livramento to a Cancelo. And, yeah, I think in terms of just improving your team, Game Week 14 onwards, look to move Hwang on to Joshua King potentially. Wilson, after the good fixtures are done, you could get maybe Benteke, or maybe look to upgrade. I think maybe because you've got a lot of budget forwards there, and it's looking good right now, but I think in the weeks to come, I think the mid-priced options and the premiums are the ones to go for. Saka's probably one to look to sell in the coming weeks. The rest of your midfield looks good, of course, but if you ever need money, Son could be someone else to downgrade to upgrade your attack. But yeah, other than that, your team is good, to be honest. There's just kind of ways to think about in the future and maybe a change of structure slightly, but do it gradually. Don't, be in a rush to do so. Will Johnson keep on starting for West Ham? I think it's his place to lose. He will continue to start the majority of games, but Soufal can come in whenever. And I think during this Christmas period, he will get some starts, especially when the Europa League comes to a close, or at least the group stages. Maddison has a punt tomorrow. I think he could do well this week. And also just in general, I think over the coming weeks, over the Christmas period, I think he could be a good choice, but he's not someone I would go for. Diaz or Alonso long term? I have James and Cancelo. I'd probably say Alonso because of the attacking threat, but Diaz with the clean sheets, I think he could arguably get more clean sheets than Chelsea. On 52 points with James, Cancelo, possibly Foden, if not Oysab, Reguilon, Kane and Tony. Yeah, that's fine, mate. That looks pretty good, Jonathan, and that's looking pretty decent. Who to keep out of Soucek or Jorginho? Honestly, mate, neither. I'd sell both of them. So maybe look to upgrade Jorginho to a Gallagher, Cornet, Smith Rowe, Bowen, the same names I always talk about, and Soucek downgrade him to a cheaper option and then upgrade the rest of your squad. Tomiyasu or Lamptey for me. I played 5 defenders this week, benched Antonio for Lamptey. It paid off, yeah, fair play. I would have been maybe looking to play Antonio for Lamptey, so you made the right choice there. Unless Antonio somehow gets a brace, but I think it does look pretty decent right now. I'm glad I took a -4 for Gay. It paid off. He scored 9 points. Yeah, I mean, you took a hit for him. Fair play. I wouldn't have done that, but, it paid off. And he looks like a decent option with the fixtures. I'm just not too convinced with the Palace defence. Sanchez, James. So this is Marius's team. 2 free transfers, 2.6 in the bank. What do you suggest? Once again, game week 14 onwards, look to get rid of Hwang after the Burnley game. And I would look maybe to go for Joshua King, potentially. And as for your midfield, game week 16, maybe do Rafinha to Gallagher or Cornet. You've already got Jota, that's fine. You can keep Foden if he's fit. If he isn't, you can maybe look to get one of the other options I said in midfield, Jared Bowen, for example, and that gives you even more money. Your defence is absolutely fine. Except for Livramento, you can maybe move him on to either Johnson or Lamptey. And of course, the same goes for, because you already have Sanchez, you could maybe get Ben White, Tomiyasu, or Ben Tavares instead. But that's kind of some suggestions. And Mbeumo. I think Mbeumo to Gallagher is definitely one to do first in the immediate short term, Marius. Ramsdale unlucky not to get 9 points today, robbed off a late 6 save. Yeah, I agree. I mentioned this earlier, Adam. I think he should have gotten the extra save point and the bonus point, but it is what it is. From Kenya here, and another one from Cameroon. So thank you very much to everyone from Cameroon, Kenya, Canada, all these places. It's absolutely unbelievable. That's the kind of the beauty of the internet at times. So thank you very much for tuning in. Ronaldo, Brownhill, and Emerson, or DCL, Foster, and Alonso from Game Week 16. DCL, Foden, and Alonso looks much better for me, obviously with the assumption that DCL is fit. Will he be fit in time for Game Week 16? Maybe, if not Game Week 17. But yeah, reckon Foden to start tomorrow. Yesterday I said I'm not too sure, but then again, Pep is such a... I was going to put an F-bomb there. This is the thing. I'm a bit more confident than I was yesterday, but I'm still not entirely convinced. But yeah, there's a reason why I sold him. I thought there is a chance that he's not going to start, but I'd say he's a 60% chance to start, but I'm not convinced. Welcome only for fun, and that's probably a perfect way to sum up FPL. Up the Aberdeen. Wow, yeah. So different, people supporting different Scottish teams. How is 45 points with James, Pinnock, Jesus, Tony, and Werner to go? Decent. I'm not a big fan of Werner, FPL-wise, but I think the rest could do pretty well. Nice one, Hibbs. Loved the beating Rangers in semi. How was today? Wow. Yeah, I didn't even realise that, to be honest. And yeah, Van Bronckhorst is now the manager of Rangers. Christensen plus Rafinha out for Gallagher and Alonso. I like that. I would do that, Tunji. James and Silva or Alonso and Foden. Already have Jota. Oh. Yeah, it has to be James and Silva for me. Has to be. I like Alonso and Foden, but James and Silva. Have to bench one of Hwang, Antonio, Rafinha. Which one? Oh, next week. Oh, Jesus. How? How do you bench one of them? Oh, God almighty. That's a tough one. I would actually say Hwang, but he could easily do well against Burnley. So maybe that's just my opinion. I just prefer the other two. Yeah, Rafinha ghosted today. Cancelo due to be rested soon. It is probably going to happen at some point. You've got to take it on the chin, but he's going to play the vast majority of games. So, don't sell him if he gets benched, even 1 or 2 games here. Xavi up on Emery. Yeah. Villarreal are doing poorly this season, to be honest. They're 12th. So Akil. How will I bring Antonio in Game Week 16? You're planning to bring in Ronaldo as well for Kane? Well, unfortunately, you have to downgrade someone. So maybe Foden, you have to downgrade him, and you got 4 premium defenders. So you either downgrade one of your premium defenders or Foden. That's the way to go, because you're looking to do Kane to Ronaldo. Gundogan, good pick going forward. I think he's decent, but once again, I prefer Foden and Bernardo Silva, to be honest. But Gundogan will be my third choice from the Man City midfield. Got Trossard, so thinking of switching. Yeah, I think Trossard to Silva could be good, but of course, if you want Gundogan, go for him. But I think Silva is just a bit more impressive, to be honest, this season. Who are the best players for Game Week 14? I'll be covering this in my videos, but if we actually just look at the fixtures, the best players to go for Game Week 14. So I think maybe one Newcastle attacker potentially, but once again, I'm not too sure about bringing them in long term. But yeah, Wilson or say Maximan could be good. Of course, Norwich have kind of tightened up at the back, so you've got to kind of think about that. Pukki could be decent actually as well, so you've got to think of it on the other side. Leeds Palace, I think Gallagher and Rafinha are the standouts in this fixture. Southampton Leicester, definitely Vardy for me. I wouldn't look elsewhere. Watford Chelsea, Reece James, Alonso. Lukaku, if he starts, could be very good. And the same goes for Kai Havertz or Mount, but I'd mainly be looking at, the other three I mentioned, the fullbacks and also Lukaku. West Ham Brighton, I think Antonio's a good option, and also Jared Bowen, maybe even Fornals. Wolves Burnley, Jimenez for me in this fixture. Man City Villa, Cancelo is always a good option, and I'd probably just stick with him. Villa have been looking good recently. Everton Liverpool, of course, Salah. Jota's a good option, and Trent. Spurs Brentford, Kane and Son, and potentially even Reguilon. And Man United Arsenal. Not too sure about this fixture, but I think Bruno Fernandes and Ronaldo, I think they'll pick it up. I think United will win this game probably, unfortunately, but yeah, I'm not really going to look at that fixture, to be honest. It's kind of, you'd say, a low ceiling. Hopefully I haven't jinxed and United get like double digits against Arsenal, but yeah, we'll see. Christensen plus, Tunja, I mentioned that I think that's the right thing to do. Sierra Leone, wow, yeah, I've known some people from Sierra Leone, including some teachers as well. Which game do you think will have a big score sheet in the future? More than 8 goals? More than 8 goals, that's really tough to say. I have to look at the whole fixture calendar, to be honest, to answer that question. I think City Watford. City Watford, that's happening soon, isn't it? Yeah, City Watford. You know what? It's going to be a one-sided one. It could be like a 6-1, 7-1, 8-0. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but yeah, I think City Watford could be one. Spurs Norwich, no, not for me. Let's see, what else is there? Yeah, that's kind of the main one I'm looking at here. Man United Norwich with Ranić? Nah, probably not. I think Dean Smith, I don't think he will. Nah, I'd say that's the game. City Watford is the one. In terms of obviously 2 teams scoring a lot of goals to kind of boost that up, that's tough to say. Yeah, I'd have to think about that one. But in terms of a one-sided thrashing, I think City Watford is the next one. To be honest, I think that could be a really ugly scoreline. Let's get back to the chat and finalize this before wrapping up. Thank you very much to everyone who's been tuning in, and if you haven't already, as I always say, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Very much appreciate everyone who tuned in today and yesterday. You've been doing a lot of streams and videos recently, so very much appreciate everyone who's decided to tune in. And if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Dylan_RCM. A big shout out to everyone who's already followed me and who's already joined the Discord server, who's become a channel member and sending super chats. Obviously, all of that is very much appreciated, as I always say. And thank you very much for tuning in today. And let's now go back to my team, my transfer plans. And here is my team heading into Game Week 14. I'll be talking about this in my team selection video and also in other videos to come. So, is it better to have players from more teams with good fixtures or double up on certain teams from Game Week 17 and 18? It's kind of just a balance, to be honest, but ultimately don't think too much about just fixtures and also just about form necessarily. Think about just the best players to have. So I think in terms of the defence, you want to be targeting Chelsea fullbacks, Rudiger, Cancelo, Trent, Lamptey, Reguilon, etc. In the midfield, you want to be going for Jota, Salah, Foden, Bernardo, Gallagher, Cornet, Smith Rowe, Bowen, etc. In the attack, a premium, so either a Kane, Lukaku or Ronaldo. Vardy's also good for the next 4, and also Antonio is good, hopefully, and also I'd say Benteke, Joshua King, maybe even Ivan Toney. So I'd want to just target those sorts of players who have good fixtures. In amongst those players I mentioned, they do have some good fixtures, but don't just focus too much on a particular thing. Who's on your watch list for next week? Gallagher, Cornet, also Lamptey as well. So not necessarily bringing him in next week, but he's someone I'm going to be looking at and potentially bringing in for Livramento. It's 2:45 a.m. in India. Yeah, like I said, thank you very much for tuning in. So late. I've seen some people, staying up until 5 a.m. In Malaysia and all of this. What was that, by the way? Jesus Christ. But yeah, obviously very much appreciated to everyone. I think about Mbumo to Eze instead of Gallagher. I think I missed the train with this one, so maybe going differential from now on. Yeah, fair enough. But I probably wouldn't go Eze over Gallagher though. I don't think it's the time to go for him. Not yet anyway. I just think Gallagher is still the better option out of the two. And if not, you can go for Cornet. He's a very nice differential. And also Jared Bowen. Maybe consider one of them two instead. Hey Dylan, long time. Your thoughts on United appointing Ranić? Loving the vids, mate. Thank you, Ty. I mentioned this in my preview and also yesterday. I think Ranić is a good appointment. It's a smart one. Long term, it could be good. Being transitioned to kind of a director of football role. And I think he will do enough to get United into the top 4. And I think over this stretch, from now up until February, United could go on a really nice run. Maybe not tomorrow, I think Chelsea will win, but after that, I think Ranić could actually get them going. Of course, he's not going to be in the dugout tomorrow. Tony Mbumo to King and Bernardo. Yeah, I think so. Don't do Tony to King yet, though. But I'm guessing you need to in order to fund the other move. But yeah, I like that overall. Reguilon Foden to Lamptey Jota. Yeah, I like Reguilon and Foden, but yeah, I think Jota and Lamptey, I would rather have that. Give this guy a like. He deserves it, guys. The best YouTube channel. Thank you very much. There's a lot of good YouTube channels, to be honest, so probably not, but thank you very much for your kind words. Much appreciated as always. Shame Southampton's fixtures aren't great going forward, as Broca could be a good option going forward and an enabler for 5 million if he goes back to getting regular starts. Yeah, I agree. And also Livramento is just a shame, but yeah, at the moment I wouldn't be bringing in any Southampton assets, to be honest. The fixtures are looking very poor for a long period of time. They will occasionally get the haul and maybe even cause the occasional upset, but yeah, I'm not getting them in. Man U versus Arsenal watch along. You never know, but for now, no. And there's so much videos and live streams to do that it's just, yeah, it would be difficult to fit that in as well, to be honest. Is Foden a priority sell? Not a priority sell. If he's injured, then yes. But otherwise, I think it's not a priority sell. Yeah, you've got Jota already, so definitely not, just with the assumption that he is fit. Should I sell Foden? Wait and see for tomorrow if he's fit or not. If he is still a doubt, if he's got a persisting problem, then I'd say he's a sell. Antonio or Mbumo, who to start? Definitely Antonio next week, mate. Definitely. Is Dennis a fine attacker to get? I think so, but bear in mind he's going to the AFCON next month, and also King has better underlying stats, and he could be on penalties, so I would go for the Norwegian over the Nigerian, but he is a good option. Son, White to Jota and James or Alonso? James, mate. And yeah, even though I like Son for the next two, and White's a good bench fodder option or just a good squad player, I definitely like Jota and James, so I would go for that, Hamza. Who first bench, Livramento or Mbumo? Let me check the fixtures, mate, just to remind myself. Yeah, Livramento facing Leicester, Tony facing Tottenham, and obviously, yeah, Mbumo in your case. That's tough. That's really tough. I probably would say Mbumo. I'd rather have Mbumo first sub, but obviously, I wouldn't be too surprised if Livramento kept the clean sheet or did well against Leicester, but I probably would do that. Ultimately, though, I'd sell Mbumo. Is it time to sell Rafinha? I think you could sell him now, but if not, I'd probably keep him for 2 more game weeks and sell him in game week 16. Yes, it's 5:21 a.m. in Malaysia. Yeah, obviously, as always, much appreciated Wei Seng for tuning in. Is Mbumo the biggest troll this season? Probably, mate. I mean, 7 times he's hit the post. That's absolutely unbelievable compared to the rest of the league. Who is your pick to win UCL this year? Bayern for me. I think it's between Bayern Munich, Chelsea, City, even though, City are kind of bottlers in Champions League, and Liverpool. I think they're the best teams in the world at the moment. If PSG got Zidane, I would put them into the conversation, and of course, if the team click, but they need Verratti. PSG need Verratti fit, and of course, they need the front three to be firing, and also probably to track back a little more. Of course, a lot has been made of that. PSG have always been that kind of team. You can still win a Champions League, even with passengers, as they say, in terms of pressing. Look at Real Madrid in the recent years, with Bale, Benzema and Ronaldo. Benzema did press, but not so much the other two. So I think that's a bit of a myth. But I think those 5 teams, one of those will win it. I still put PSG into the conversation because they've got, on paper, the best team in the world. Of course, it's all about the actual collective, not the individuals. But yeah, when you've got Messi, you've always got a chance. You've got Neymar and Mbappe as well. You've got Verratti, Di Maria. I think Di Maria could be the key to unlocking that connection between the midfield and the attack. So he should start more games, in my opinion. But yeah, ultimately, in terms of if I had to narrow it down to one team, I'm not sure about Bayern Munich as such. I'm not too sure about Nagelsmann this year winning it. I think he'll still take a few years to adjust to win the Champions League, but they still have a chance, of course. Great chance. Oddly enough, I think Liverpool have a very good chance, I think. Liverpool, Chelsea or City, one of the English teams, I think. I almost got the same team as you. The only difference is Sanchez for Ramsdale and Gallagher over Townsend. Yeah, I mean, I would rather have Ramsdale, but I think, yeah, you're in a better position having Gallagher over Townsend. You've got 2 free transfers as well, so you're in a good position. I would like to get Ramsdale for Sanchez in your situation. I don't know who else you have, though, so it's difficult to say, what your other transfers should be. But yeah, one transfer to recommend is maybe Sanchez to Ramsdale. Maybe not necessarily this week, though, because he is facing United. Vardy and Tony for Ronaldo and Dennis or Davis next week. It will fund Townsend to Bernardo Gundogan. Yeah, I think I can see why you're doing that. Yeah, I'd say ultimately, yeah, do it. Just bear in mind though, maybe don't get Ronaldo instead for now. Maybe get Kane or Lukaku. So kind of what I'm saying here is be open-minded with the premium striker or midfielder you're going for instead. But overall, that looks good. Vardy and Tony for Ronaldo and Davis next week. Oh yeah, just read that. Oh my god. I got moved up from 53k to 24k having Sanchez and Cucurella. That's exceptional, mate. And that's why sometimes these differentials and differential double-ups look very good. So that's a nice, healthy rank rise, mate. Enjoy it. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Hamza. Should I go out my way to get Cancelo? I have too many other issues. He will be 6.7 million tonight. I would still try to find a way to get Cancelo. Good long-term fixtures, great attacking potential. He's just a bonus points magnet, so yeah, I would try to get him in regardless. Callum Wilson will say Maximan for the next 2 game weeks. Probably say Maximan because he's not 1 yellow card away from suspension, but otherwise I would rather have Wilson, to be honest. It's just that yellow card that puts me off. Plans for Antonio, probably keeping him because I've got other things to think about, including Townsend out. What do you think of Wilson? He is a good option, but he's 1 yellow card away from suspension, and also Newcastle are bottom of the league. They are decent offensively, but today they were pretty poor against a relatively decent defence. Should I sell Vardy for Tony and get Jota for Mbumo? I mean, yeah, I think that looks pretty decent overall, so I probably would say I'd go for it. Cucurella is so good, to be honest. Yeah, and also Lamptey on the other side, to be fair. Yeah, they're looking good. Cucurella is going to kind of be this kind of all or nothing, I think. So when he gets the clean sheet, he can get the bonus points, but if not, he can get 1 point, with a yellow card or 2 goals conceded. Play 2 for next week, and Mbuma, Livramento, Tony and Rafinha. Yeah, Rafinha and Tony. I do only take Ws. That's what I would do. PSG will probably get knocked out by United again. That's just a part of UCL. Now I've accepted it. I think PSG could beat them. Obviously, now with Ranić, things have kind of changed, but PSG have a much better team on paper. They should. The big thing, obviously, is saying should win that. But if PSG do face like a top team, and they could because they're finishing second now, yeah, it could be a long one and they don't win the Champions League. But if they get through this game, I think they have a good chance of winning it, especially if things click. But I'm not too convinced about Pochettino at PSG, to be honest. I don't know. I'm not sure if he can handle the egos and, a big club, or at least big players. Region plus Foden to Lamptey and Jota. Yeah, I mentioned this before, Corey. I probably would do that, even though I like Region and Foden. Hi Dylan, pretty terrible week for me with no Jota. Unfortunately, I think I still have to roll this week and can't get to him. But for 15, would you get Jota or Bernardo Silva, as well as King? I said this before, and don't want to react too much to one game week and one result, but I'd still rather go for Jota than Bernardo Silva. I just think, being the striker for Liverpool, Firmino will be back soon, but then in AFCON, when Salah and Mane are out, Jota should be nailed. He should start the majority of games. Yeah, and I think he just has, over the course of the season, more sustainable stats than Bernardo Silva. Gets more big chances, but yeah, Bernardo Silva's good if you can get both of them, but I would pick Jota. Well, your transfer plans for next game week, Townsend to Gallagher, as I said before. And yeah, I am considering other options as well in the midfield bracket, but Townsend has to go, I think. I want Jota. Do I replace him with Rafinha, Smith Rowe or Gallagher? Not Rafinha, I think, because he's only good for 2 game weeks. You want to look long term, and for me, it has to be Gallagher Mohamed. Any Saka replacement? Once again, Gallagher, Cornet, Smith Rowe, and also Bowen. Those 4. Pick one of those 4 if you're looking for someone around a similar price. If you can upgrade, I would consider Bernardo Silva and definitely Jota. If you don't have Jota already, he is the main guy. But if not, Bernardo Silva. And if you want someone just cheaper, and you can't afford the 7 million plus, then go for those that I said. And I would probably narrow it down to either Gallagher or Jared Bowen. Tony to Maximan. I probably wouldn't do that, mate. Only 2 good fixtures for Newcastle. Maximan can do very well over those 2, and maybe even in some tough games, but not for me. Is getting Lamptey over Livramento, who I bought for 4.3, a good transfer in a few weeks. Lamptey was really close to getting assists against Leeds. Yeah, got a lot of chances created in the first half, and he looked very sharp. Then kind of tailed off, lost the energy towards the end. I still think maybe, not necessarily not fully fit, but needs to build that match sharpness up in a way. But he's looking very sharp, and yeah, I think he's a good option. And if you have a spare transfer, I think that's a good move, ultimately. And Livramento is not probably going to be as good of an option from now on. I have Tomiyasu and Ramsdale. Tomiyasu got 12 points. Is he a good keep? Yeah, I mean, he's a decent choice, but ultimately, I don't really trust Arsenal double defence in the long term. But yeah, it's not bad. Just Tomiyasu's not someone I'd want to start most weeks. He's just that kind of bench player that can come in sometimes with a good fixture. Any Antonio replacements after next week? Yeah, Joshua King, Benteke still, and also Tony if he starts showing some form again. I think he's a decent option, but I'd mainly be looking at Benteke or Joshua King. And if not, Bamford if he's back into the team, and also Calvert-Lewin. Keep an eye on those two. Other than that, though, it's mainly just looking to upgrade him to a premium striker. Yeah, Corey, I already answered your question, mate, a few times. I know United have been awful recently, but I genuinely think they beat PSG right now. Though we're just debating who is stinkier. Yeah, but I think if PSG start clicking, I think that changes and they could go really far. Yeah, Rania, I already answered your question, mate. I said I'm getting probably Gallagher in for Townsend. 52 points with Cancelo, James, Reguilon and Kane. Thoughts? Yeah, that's good, mate. I think you're in a good position. You should be able to get 65 plus, but let's wait and see, of course. Try not to set your expectations too high, but you're looking pretty decent. Took a -4 for Jota today. He's hot and don't want to miss out on the midweek return. Hope it works. Yeah, and he's just a good option now long term with AFCON coming into the mix in January and also playing up front and relatively nailed with Firmino out. So it's looking good. Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you, Mohammed. Good to see you here, mate. I thought you were black or Asian, says Jake. I've never actually heard that before, people saying that. Most people say I sound white, as they say. But I'm technically of Latin heritage, as they say, even though I don't look like it, to be honest. But yeah, there you go. That's the kind of... Yeah, sometimes the world is surprising. But yeah, just to kind of summarise before we wrap up, this is how my team looks like in Game Week 14. And I am probably looking to captain either Salah or Reece James. I'll be talking about this more in my videos to come. And I'm very happy with my team going forward. In terms of transfer plans, I'll show you now what I'm looking at. I think Townsend to Gallagher is probably the move I've wanted to make like weeks ago. I'm now finally able to do it. If not, I'll maybe look to another midfielder. But I don't have too much money left over. I think 1.4 million if, with the current money in the bank. And the other moves would include maybe Rafinha to Bernardo Silva in Game Week 16. And also Livramento to Lamptey or another budget defender. But I don't want to get another mid-priced or premium defender. I want to have just 4. I think that's enough. And then it's just about finding ways to get either Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, or maybe Son or Harry Kane. But by that time, will it be too late? Probably. But I think Spurs have good fixtures up until Game Week 25 or 26, arguably. So still worth it to, kind of find ways to do that. And maybe even Antonio, down to King, that could facilitate Vardy to one of those premium strikers I talked about. So I'm kind of considering all options, but I think the next move is probably Gallagher in for Townsend. Let me know what you think. Of course, I'll be covering this in my next few videos and live streams. And this is how I'm doing right now in Game Week 13. Everyone has, produced a return except for Rafinha so far. I've got 6 players left, 45 points so far, and a green arrow up until 74k or something like that. So pretty decent overall. Can't complain too much, and pretty happy overall. Let's see. So yeah, thank you, animations. Mbuma to Jota, Bernardo, Cornet. Jota for me, easy, and then it would be Bernardo and then Cornet. I like all of them. No problem, Aranya. Yeah, multitasking. Yeah, you do that quite a lot, to be fair. So obviously, I appreciate you, taking the time and effort to watch the streams. Thanks for your advice. You're awesome. Thank you very much, John. You're awesome. Same with everyone else who's joined. I've mixed 2 words together. Joined and tuned in. Who has tuned in? Obviously, very much appreciated as always. Jota's a must-have along with Trent and Salah, in my opinion. I mean, over the next month or so, he's looking very good. To be fair, I don't know about absolutely must-have, but yeah, I think it's looking good. Is Mbuma to Smith Rowe worth it with Man United as the next fixture? I would rather go for Gallagher or Bowen long term, to be honest. But Smith Rowe is a good choice, but I would rather go for the other 2 I mentioned, and even maybe Cornet. 45, that's pretty decent. Yeah, obviously I've got the same amount of points, so I'm happy with it. What made you do Foden to Bernardo Silva? Oh, or would you make... yeah, Harry, well, I haven't done that. I've done Foden to Jota this week, and I've got his points, so I'm happy with that, to be fair. So this is how my team is doing at the moment in Game Week 13. Bernardo Silva would come in for Rafinha, so it's kind of maybe a bit of a sideways move, you could say, but Foden was an injury doubt, so that's the reason why I decided to move Foden on, and he could play tomorrow. But yeah, I just think Jota's more nailed. I also back Jota to get more returns over the next month or so playing up front for Liverpool. So that's what made me do that. And as for Bernardo Silva, he is probably better value for money at the moment than Foden. I think Foden is still the better asset. He's going to be more explosive, but Bernardo Silva, I'm just able to afford him. I'm not able to get Foden back in, to be honest, unless I downgrade someone else, to be honest, yeah. Who is a bigger priority out of Antonio or Bowen? Probably Antonio, because there's fewer options in the attack. In the midfield, once again, there's Smith Rowe, there's Gallagher, there's Cornet, there's Jota, there's Foden, there's Bernardo Silva, Son, Bruno Fernandes, Mane, Salah. There's a lot of options as I just listed there. So when you look at the attack, not as many. So I'd probably say Antonio. But having said that, Bowen is in definitely better form. Who's the better option, Ronaldo or Bruno? Well, right now I have to say Ronaldo, but I actually like the look of Bruno under Ranić. Obviously, well, we haven't seen him under Ranić yet, but I just think he could do very well under him, to be honest. What would make you do Foden to Bernardo Silva? If Foden's an injured out still, heading into Game Week 14, that's what I would do. If I get rid of Mbeumo, I have 6.2 million to spend, one free transfer, but I want to get United players for Palace match after Arsenal. Fair enough, but I think... yeah, Mbeumo to Gallagher, for example, would make sense in your case, Eddie. But yeah, obviously United players look very good after the Arsenal game, and even before that, to be honest. But yeah, the time for United players is looking like it's coming upon us, to be honest. Yeah. Oh no, predictions for F1. And can I be a mod? I will obviously review the chat afterwards and the stream, and yeah, I might add some mods afterwards. But I try to, yeah, just make people mods who have been long-time viewers of the channel and who are obviously respectful, provide a lot in terms of the community, some good questions, some thought-provoking comments as well, and who also, are patient. But in terms of predictions for F1, unfortunately, I think Mercedes and Hamilton will win both championships. I hope Verstappen wins and Red Bull, but I don't think so. I'm pretty pleased with my squad as it is currently. Is it worth going from Mendy to Ramsdale now in anticipation of the African Cup of Nations? Yeah, and also it just saves you money and you can invest that for the rest of your squad, so I probably would do that. Yeah. Looking at next week, though, I wouldn't do it this week because, obviously, I think Chelsea will keep a clean sheet. I don't think Arsenal will against United. But the week after, that's when you can start doing it. You think getting Alonso is worth doing? Yeah, I think so, Turkish. If you don't have James, Cancelo or Trent, prioritise that first. Otherwise, go for Alonso, Rudiger, and if not, maybe go for someone cheaper like Reguilon, Lamptey, etc. Is Son worth it? I think he is, but at the same time, you don't have to have him because you can have Kane up front to cover Spurs. You can have Jota, Foden, Bernardo Silva, all these options I keep banging on about. So he's not necessary, but he is a good option. What do you think is going to make a difference with the ranks during the Christmas period? That's a good question. That's a very good question. I mean, honestly, if you look at certain players like Alonso even, he is still under 10% ownership. So just having those sort of players who... It's not necessarily mega differentials, but those who aren't owned by a high proportion of the game, even Jota around 15%, having those players who are consistent, they're playing the majority of games and getting the hauls. So I think ultimately it's about having a plan and just setting your course and targeting those top teams, especially with those good fixtures, but especially, just going for the good players from those really top teams like City, Liverpool and Chelsea. I think that's the way to go, and finding the ideal team structure. Also, I think ultimately probably getting in early on the United assets. I think that could be a game changer, getting Bruno Fernandes or Ronaldo, for example, or even Jadon Sancho before he starts, going ballistic in FPL. Rafinha works really hard to return, but his team is lame and he sees it. Great asset, lagging team. Yeah, true. Today he wasn't really on it, but he's a quality player and he'll probably be moving club soon. And I still think he's a good option for the next 2 game weeks. I have Cornet and Gallagher. If I was you, who would you get rid of? I probably wouldn't get rid of either of them at the moment, to be honest, Turkish. Yeah, I wouldn't. Welcome, Rudhan. Thank you very much for tuning in. Good night to you as well, Superstar. Oh no, we've got some cryptos here. Trying to get the prices up, I see. But yeah, I haven't done any crypto recently. I'll be interested to see if anyone actually does crypto here. But yeah, Chilwell is such a blow. Had him in my team. Yeah, but this is an opportunity for you to get Alonso in early ahead of most people who don't have him. If not Rudiger, or downgrade and change your team structure slightly. So I wouldn't really worry about it too much. Thank you everyone. If you have any questions that I haven't answered, let me know down in the comment section below. I'm going to be wrapping up now. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram as always, Dylan_RCM. Very much appreciate everyone who decided to tune in today. Good luck with the rest of Game Week 13 and good luck in Game Week 14. I'll be doing some videos and streams for that as well. There's such a quick turnaround. Remember, the deadline for Game Week 14 is on the Tuesday, and there's also going to be UCL fantasy content over the next week or so in preparation for match day 6, which is in 2 weeks' time. So thank you very much to everyone. God bless. Enjoy the rest of the football, and I'll see you next time.